Flush the toilet.
Hey, listen, you are a religious person. You believe in the religion of science. Current science requires a faith. And you are faith.
It gives you an impression. It makes it look. It does. It makes it look like you're living on a globe.
Look at this, yeah?
I'll tell you what, do a little experiment for me. Next time you go on, right, go into a DIY shop and get yourself an old-fashioned spirit level. It only costs about £3 or £4, right? One of our top flat earthers has done this. What you do, once you've taken off, stick it, find its level, and stick it underneath like the window. Now, once you've gone about 1,000 miles, call out the pilot and turn around and say, how comes that bubble hasn't moved? That bubble now should go, because remember, what you've got to remember, when you took off, it was level, right? Once you've taken off and you're levelled out 30,000 feet or wherever you are. So, it should have moved, shouldn't it? The bubble. Why won't the bubble move?
Gravity pulls it down.
That's a programmed response. We all say that, gravity. Gravity. We all said that first of all.
Gravity does not exist.
We don't think gravity exists. We think it's buoyancy. If something, I'm heavier than the surrounding Earth, so I go like that, and I'm heavier. If you've got a helium balloon is lighter than air. You
But
understand?
gravity's at work then.
We don't think gravity is another illusion. It's a myth.
I don't understand why.
Because we've all been indoctrinated. We've all read this stuff out of textbooks. Well, it doesn't mean it's real. Just because you read it out of a
No,
textbook.
that's not reason. Give me a reason why that's not gravity is not real.
Because it can't be proven. It's a theory. It's a belief. It's a belief.
You reach like, I don't know, 10.
Yeah, that's buoyancy. That's density.
See, buoyancy is in water.
That is density. They're heavier than the air, so they're going to fall to the
So
ground.
why did it fall down then?
Because it's heavier. The
than
molecules
what?
are heavier. It's
Heavier than
heavier.
what?
It's heavier than surrounding air.
Everything in the air. So why do things fall at different rates then?
Well,
Things fall at different rates.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's great.
Do you mind?
Well, you would like it moving. Yeah, I can do that.
a feather wood. If you had a feather and something like a ball, it's because it's got air resistance. It's lighter. It's going to fall.
Einstein doesn't know what he's talking about.
Oh, the bending of time and space, relativity.
Well, I mean,
Because
relativity
that's
is
the
one
new
thing.
gravity, isn't it? It's not that.
Newton doesn't know what he's talking about.
Right, that's right. So we've moved on now.
So Newton doesn't know what he's talking about then.
Because that was one
exactly,
theory, wasn't it?
exactly.
Just a theory. And then Einstein came along, and he put in a better theory, didn't he? Okay, so it's the bending
No,
of
it's not a
time
better
and space.
theory. It builds on top of the existing theory.
Okay, so
But it's not necessarily negates the old
We
theory.
can prove
It builds on top of
it.
it.
Where's that proof?
So
you showed me things that are dropping.
Yeah.
But where's the proof that something's pulling it?
it's called
Is it
gravity.
it's the bending of time and space pulling it
called
down?
gravity.
Okay, you keep saying this word, gravity.
So
It's
gravity
called
is when
cabbage or something.
it's
Where
a
is the
grav-
proof?
It's
a
just a
mass.
word. It's just a word.
So where's the proof that?
If gravity's holding trillions of water to a ball, what about the evaporation of the oceans going up? How
Yeah,
come we don't-
because the density.
It's very selective. Gravity's
It's very selective. It's very.
Gravity's very selective, isn't it? Gravity's a very selective thing. It can hold trillions and trillions of tons of water down at sort of like Australia. So a little butterfly can come along and just stop, or a bumblebee in the air, and not that, and just not fall to the ground anymore. Sorry?
It's because I want the mic on you.
Yeah, I don't want to.
That's what I'm saying, just the mic.
So, but why do you strongly feel that the Earth is flat? What's so what?
Listen, I'm saying I'm a globe denier. I don't know what we live on. I don't know whether it's some kind of
So what?
tourist
What's
field.
different? Who cares?
Whether we could, you
Why
could
do,
be.
why do we need
We're
to
here,
care?
we're debating it. We can.
Well, why do we need to care?
Because we've been lied to for all our whole lives. That's why we've been lied to. The textbooks are a lie. The media's a lie. When you sort of like turn on the TV and you see that sort of like the Earth ball. I mean, all I can say is, can just look into it. Don't believe
no,
us.
we don't believe you.
No, but you look into
don't
it.
believe you.
We don't want you to believe it.
To go away and research.
Can I give you one? I'll give you one video to watch. 200 proofs the Earth's not a spinning globe by Eric Debate. That's all what you do. Go on YouTube and look at that, and just have a look at it about the Suez Canal stays level at over 100.
Oh dear. Do you think I should remind him to
Sorry?
go and catch his wedding? That's a message, John.
To understand why it's restricted, you need to understand how flight works.
You need to
When you have a
understand
plane,
molecular science.
no, you don't. When to understand how flight works, you understand that flight goes on a path. When you become a pilot, they tell you that this is military zone, this is commercial zone, this is private zone, this is farming zone. There's actually a zone given to Google, so it can take satellite pictures, which we call satellite picture, but in reality it's just a plane going 10,000 feet and taking pictures all around. So there are zones. Now, if you have a plane, you can't just fly up. You need permission, you need to do a flight plan, you need to go on a flight path, all has to be authorized. So when you're here and you want to fly, they tell you it's restricted.
You can still go through it. It's not like you just can't go in.
And in this case, if it's aviation, then it's the aviation authorities. If it's maritime, then it's the sea authorities. What's the answer?
Someone goes past them.
They will stop you just like they do with a plane.
How and who?
You have military boats and you have military planes. F-16s will be there in 3 minutes if needed.
The air's pretty vast. You can't have an aeroplane every
So now if you go up to Buckingham, when Manchester United and Liverpool are playing, what do you do? What happens if you run towards the field? What happens? Someone's going to attack you. That's called security. The same thing happens if I go to Buckingham Palace and I decide to run with my free car in a free democracy. They're going to stop me. Who? The security.
No, don't forget, a guy actually broke into Buckingham Palace
Yes.
twice,
And the White House.
and he actually sat on the edge of the Queen's bed for 15 minutes. So it's possible. Anything's possible.
Yes, but what we have here is much more sacred, and you have heavy security, especially after stuff like the Antarctica Treaty that took place in the late 50s, where they decided to seal it off, and it first started with 12 countries,
It's
then
almost
it
like a
expanded
religion.
to
It's kind
70.
of like, here's my God, but you can't see him.
Have you heard of Richard?
You've got to believe it's there. Believe the God's there.
I don't want you to believe in it.
Believe.
I want you to
Believe the God. Believe in Jesus. Believe in
Why
Muhammad.
has no one ever done it?
Believe. You
Why
can't
has
see
no
it.
one ever done it?
Some have
Trust
tried
me.
and they were stopped.
You can't see it.
What's the argument about
Yeah, but how? I mean,
astronauts?
when did it start being controlled? When did it
Fake.
start being controlled?
In the late
Fake.
1950s, they sealed it
So
off.
what they do is they send up these rockets,
What before
and
that?
then they probably
We had
They
people like
destroyed
Richard
it.
Byrd. I'm answering you. They had people like Richard Byrd, who's an admiral in the military, and he went on several trips. He took 3,000 personnel, he took 5,000 personnel, and he took 7,000. And he came back and he gave a complete documentary historical information about it. And that's when we found out it was a big country. And then that's when they sealed it off. But there's lots of voyages that took place before that.
Before 1950s that
I
actually
really
got through it.
worry
I'm
about
explaining.
the future.
Just give me one example.
Richard Byrd in the 30s and 40s and 50s were military personnel as well. Before that, remember that the zones there are freezing. Now, before that, I don't know.
And then
I'm telling you the history. I'm here to learn, and I'm here to question. I'm not here to pretend I'm a god, because this isn't a belief system or any sort of religion or spirituality. We're all here to learn. And I wasn't 4 years ago, obviously much more smarter. But you know what I mean. And if I didn't confirm for myself, I'm not going to be here making a fool out of myself. I have a cousin that hates my guts, and every day she hates me more because I'm proving her how right I am. You know what I mean? I have a cousin that did a $10,000 bet with me that he can prove that there's a satellite up, and he couldn't. I had another person that wanted to prove that there was a dinosaur bone, and they couldn't.
Why? What was their reason for lying to us?
It's a control mechanism.
and look what's happening over here.
It's like when you have a
What
child,
did they gain from that? What did they actually gain from it?
you're being controlled.
I know that. That thing. But what is their reasoning to control people? What difference would it make if it's circular? What difference would it make if it's flat? What is the difference?
It's where you are. Because when I tell you that this is the construct called Earth, and we have stars benefiting us, we're all brothers and sisters. We have abundance of water, abundance of agriculture, abundance of minerals. None of us should be suffering. All of us could live to the age of 200 minimum. All of us should be healthy and happy. We should be using our creative side, the right side. We should be living as a united Earthians.
Oh, is that before? And certainly since mobile phones.
No,
and
interesting.
things like that, yeah. So all of that to explain why he hasn't got to the edge.
I'm leaving to
Until
2:30 exactly, 1 hour.
Yeah. So if it wasn't
It's
controlled
okay
in
for
the
time.
1950s, what happened to all the people that have been to the edge?
Again, you keep calling it an edge.
What would you call it?
An area outside our accessibility right now. Nobody here would bet his life or tell you what there is. We're here to tell you there's been an effect on rainbows and lightning, and we've been testing it. So if there seems to be a special ionosphere of ions, what we can call a dome, don't look at it as some just crystal. And I can explain to you effects that are taking place. Have I touched the dome? No. Have I touched this crystal? No. But I know the effects that take place. There, I'm giving you an example of what happened. So I'm here to question, why are we being lied to? And this all goes back to the moon landing. It all goes back to 2 documentaries that you can watch today. And what's beautiful about these documentaries, you're actually interviewing the astronauts that went up. And when you interview an astronaut that just got to the moon, you'd expect him to be like, I just came back from the moon. It was amazing. The stars, the this, the that, giving 5, explaining, full of energy, compassion, doing 50 interviews a year, whatever it is. He turns out to be scared.
No, but didn't Buzz Aldrin...
That energy
Buzz
of
Aldrin
treason.
punch someone in the face for having this opinion?
Yes, Walter Bell, yeah.
Because he was just so annoyed with the stupidity of
Yeah,
it.
so,
hang on,
yeah,
but
so you're an
you just
astronaut,
missed
a
that
guy's
point, though.
asking you to swear on a Bible, you punch him in the face.
You just missed that point when they came back, when they were being interviewed. They were terrified. Watch that interview.
Just watch
Yeah,
it.
but if you'd gone
Yeah,
to
but-
the
yeah, but
when no
these-
one else
these-
has
yeah,
ever
but-
been
yeah, but-
before,
yeah, but
they're
these-
terrified.
Yeah, but
You're
these-
back
these
on the
are
ground and you're being
professional
celebrated
scientists.
by
They're not
50
football
journalists.
players, they're not
You're not gonna do
celebrities,
this
they're
scared.
scientists.
Been in some
Okay.
situations.
And it's
That's what
not
they
one,
are.
it's
They're
50
not come
astronauts.
back.
Watch
Could
it.
you
They're
Listen.
all giving
you know, what's the mass? What's
Shove
the
you
mass
into
that
isolation.
Einstein,
I wanna ask you a
what's the mass
question.
that Einstein did? He said the word eureka.
I don't take
He's
medicine.
not going out and going whoa like this.
I haven't taken medicine in over 5 years.
Through New York with all the astronauts.
I don't
Yeah,
eat
they kinda
meat,
did, really.
I don't eat chicken, I don't eat fish,
Have you
I don't
watched
eat
this
eggs,
interview?
I don't drink milk,
What, in- which-
I don't
Have
do
you
weed
watched
or
the interview
drugs,
when they
I
come
don't
back?
smoke, I don't do alcohol.
But they would have
I'm not religious
No.
at all.
All I'm saying is,
I'm
forget
spiritual,
about
and
what
spirituality
they're
to me is a
saying.
physics we have not understood
Research
yet.
it yourself.
In this world that I'm
What your
discussing,
concern is-
what's the
If you're
subject?
watching something,
It's called
then
health.
What your concern
Correct?
is that they
Health.
weren't excited
I'm
enough.
telling you, in the world of health,
Is that what it
Big
is? Is that what
Pharma
you're based
is
on?
not doing its
Very,
best
very
to
tenuous,
teach you
mate.
and educate you
Okay,
about
And
health.
the fact that they were
On the contrary,
contradicting
it
each
wants you to
other.
always
Whether
go
they
to the
saw- some
doctor,
say they saw stars,
believe in the
some
doctor,
say no, we saw
believe in the
nothing.
medical system,
Okay.
be diagnosed by
They're all giving
something, be put on a
But are they
special
contradicting
medication.
that they all went
This
up there?
medication has its own side
Were they all
effects.
contradicting
People
each other
actually make money
about
for
what they
people
saw
being
up
sick.
there?
Exactly.
But what does that have to do with
Or that they
I'll
all
explain
went,
it. So there's a deception in the medical. There's a deception in energy because in reality, we have countries like Costa Rica.
For you to go away and say, look, you know, like this guy,
Research
he
it.
said some good
Don't
stuff,
trust
yeah?
me, just research
this.
it. Costa Rica has 99% renewable energy. Correct? Why can't the whole world be like Costa Rica? Research it. So what I'm telling you, there's illusion taking place. Now this, not everybody believes in it. When we were in science class and they told us about the stupid ancestors that believed in the flat earth, and we mocked that turtle flying, and then they told us about the ball and why ships disappear on the curve and the moon and the year, I was like you. And for 30 years I was like you. And I explained previously that I wanted to go with Elon Musk's SpaceX, and I actually was listed on one of Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic. And when I became a pilot, I was like, you know what, if the ship hits the planet, I was living in South America, and instead of 30,000 pounds at London Heathrow Airport, there the course was $12,000. I was like, let me become a pilot, because I'm going to have a family, and I want to be able to get them out of, and I became a pilot. And at that point, I didn't believe in any of it. What I did know, growing up, that moon landing was fake. And I went to NASA in Houston, and I went to NASA in Florida, and when I was on my honeymoon in Hawaii, there was literally a convention taking place where there was over 80 NASA employees, and I sat down with them for 3 days on the bar, drinking my drinks, drinking my mojitos, and laughing with him, and we were both conversating about this. On the third day, he's like, what can I tell you? I couldn't prove you wrong. When I was in NASA headquarters, the guy that works there told me, listen, I just work here, what can I tell you? My cousin married someone very big in NASA, and he hasn't been able to prove me wrong. I have a relative who works for a very big communication company that paid millions to get a satellite up in space, and he hasn't been able to prove me wrong. Now, I will change my mind in 30 seconds if I have the evidential proof, but I'm not going to teach my child about Santa Claus, nor about the world that doesn't exist.
So how
What?
has it bettered your life learning that the past? How has it bettered your life learning that the earth is flat?
I found out that we're all brothers and sisters. I found out that there's no reason to ever live in fear. I found out that God or prana or universal consciousness or this beautiful force that you call it is within me. I found out that I can survive just on air and water and basic fruits. I found out that we have abundance of energy. I found out that we should not live in a world of competition but a world of cooperation. I found out that religions are fear-based. I found out that the history we've been told is a lie. I found out that the pyramids of Egypt are not pyramids made for mummies, but are power stations. And there are more power stations in China and in America than there are in Egypt. I found out there's so many lies, and history, which is his story, was being illusion, which made me become agnostic and question everything. And if he tells me something, I'm not going to tell him liar. I'm going to research it. And if it's true, great. I will start preaching it.
So it's your journey of investigation and finding out what is the truth that's more important than whether it's flat or not.
The world being flat is basically a way for you to understand that you are the center of this earth. And when that happens, you move out of the ego and you become eco. You move out to the me, and you go into the we. Why? Because you realize you have a responsibility. Versus you speak to any new future generation, he'll tell you, yeah, this place will probably explode in 10 years. I'm going to be in the first trip to Mars. I'm going to be in Neptune. You know what? I'm going to find another galaxy and they're going to name it after me. It's a mindset. It's a mind construct.
So the journey of investigation and challenging beliefs is what's more important
Science,
than
not beliefs.
Okay,
Does that mean
science.
that water
is more
boils at a
important
certain degrees? I want to confirm. Now, when I found out there's a deception, and when I found out the scientist of the century, Nikola Tesla, died broke at the age of 89, and he gave you 400 patents. Your Wi-Fi, your radio, your induction motor, your electricity that you use came from a guy that died broke. How would you accept that as a human? Tell me. Instead, all the kids, who's the smartest guy in the world? Tell me. He's going to say Einstein. Yes or no? Why? Because Einstein gave us something called string theory. Theory of relativity. The only thing Einstein invented was a compressor that they used in the back of an AC. That's it. And helped a little bit with photons and photovoltaic sunlight.
He managed to sell it as a product. He managed to sell it.
Yes,
And that's why it's
100%.
famous.
They managed to sell it. They even asked him to become the president of Israel. You know the story. He was violent, he was aggressive, he was an alcoholic, and he was an image. Versus a man like Tesla is a man we're supposed to not worship, because no one should worship anything. Because at the end of the day, Tesla didn't invent. When I get a magnet and I do this, and I turn it on a copper, and I see electrons floating, I just created electricity. But this is something, an invention we discovered. Why, when we were growing up and we thought of fire, the only thing we could think about was this wood? Why didn't they teach us about the magnet and the copper growing up? This is information we should have learned about.
There's a lot of knowledge that we should have learned about.
Yes, first thing they're supposed to
Alexander.
First thing you're supposed to teach a child, who's a sponge for the first 7 years, is how to breathe. The importance of filling up your body with oxygen, getting carbon out, putting your alkali levels up, putting your immune system up. Then teach him how to plant seeds. Teach him how easy it is to survive just on fruits, correct? How to work as brothers and sisters, how to love thy neighbor. Instead, what are we teaching him? What are we teaching? What's your favorite cartoon? Simpson. Have you done any course on plumbing? Do you know anything about plumbing? Why? Teach him plumbing, teach him carpentry, teach him how to sew, teach him how to communicate. You know what I mean? And get him off the sugar. Sugar is killing all of us. It's not the cigarettes or the drugs or any of the above. It's the sugar.
So if the world's flat, then does it end or do we fall off, or how do we travel?
So far, the construct that we are looking into that could be more of a possibility is a style like this with very high cliffs around it, and there's a curvature. And this is a construct that people look at. I personally don't even know because I haven't been there. But what I do know is that we're not a ball where your cousin is upside down in Australia, and we're not spinning, and we're not flying through a galaxy that's flying through an expanded universe that took place from the Big Bang with the electrons or protons that turned into bacteria, then became water, then became life as we know it, from the baby tadpole all the way to this beauty that's in front of you right now.
How do you know that? How do you know that that's not true?
I've done a special experimental, observable, and repeatable method-based experiments to see whether we are on a ball. And I have seen first-hand experiments from people I know or second-hand people that people I trust. And they're all basically proof that the first thing we used to think growing up is ships disappear because there's a curvature, correct? So I looked at the sea, I saw the ship, it did disappear. Then I took a nice Nikon camera, I zoomed in, and the ship appeared again. 10 minutes later, the ship disappeared. I stretched my zoom more, the ship appeared. 10 minutes after that, the ship disappeared. I got my telescope, the ship appeared. So it wasn't about a curvature, it was a vanishing point. That's an example that I did. And just like this, we did a lot of other experiments. Again, we would change in a second if NASA or any space agency just shot up a live video all the way to space. But they don't do that. They show you the first 10 minutes, then they go into CGI, then they show you the docking stage, where the spaceship does this, unlocks. And in reality, it's all filmed underwater, in huge aquariums. You know that now, you could be listening to Rihanna on a live concert, and while you're watching her, they've modified her body size, they've made her taller, they've made her darker. While you're watching it live, do you know that technology exists? And that's what they use these days.
How do you know that?
Just look up virtual imaging. Just Google that. But
Yeah, no,
How do you know that they do it in space?
in space.
How do you know that they're doing it to make that Earth?
Because there's been so much glitches and so many errors that we found out. Example, when we look at a photo of Earth, we all thought that this is Earth, correct? Google Earth. Then you see 10 different photos of Earth where America's this size, America's this size, America's this size. Then NASA found out that, you know, people are finding out this, so then they changed the information. They're like, no, but these are images. These are ribbons of information coming in, and then we put them up together. Then you see a part where you have identical skies because the guy's just photoshopping. Stuff like this. Again, nobody's here to ridicule or be mocked or be called an idiot. That's why forget about the word flat Earth. We're here just to say that we've been deceived on every level, and these people deceiving us are us. If you're on a team that's winning, they've been winning through cheating, and you cheated, what are you going to do? Say, by the way, all these cups we have earned through cheating? No, you're going to continue. Because you need to win. And that's what's happening. And I, 4 years ago, was part of them, let's just call that. And I today can decide to do bad, and I decide to do good. We should go towards spirituality, towards love and compassion, and not live in any sort of fear-based society. And this is only tip of the iceberg. When you start understanding the shit, where I am is fake. Leonardo DiCaprio, Johnny Depp have their own islands. There are people that have their own baby companies. And this is about trying to live a better life, based on compassion, based on ego, not ego. Based on love thy neighbor. What does love thy neighbor mean? Love my neighbor. Thank you.
Well done. Well done. You glad you got that off your chest? So that's Fires. His American name's Victor. We met him here 1 year today. See what?
Does anyone have water here?
In my bag there's enough some of that. So, you're a big star, you know, on we all want to meet you.
I love you.
We'll have to organise. In fact, I think he needs to go on one of the podcasts. So, over you, if you can pick him up, Mr. Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, or Paul on the Plane.
And we keep forgetting that there's so many people that have led the way, so many scientists that should be brought up in the history, and that's something we have to acknowledge and direct attention on. And list their names with history, the scientists that did levitation, boiled water, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. And I eat bananas every day. My neighbor has
Give you an idea
apples,
what's here as well.
and I want to get them apples. All I'm going to do is not banana. How about we do it? I'll give you 3 bananas.
Yeah.
Especially with very low pressure high up in the air. That's why you never see
Brilliant. Yeah, I've got a windshield on this mic, but it is very windy here today.
A cliff-based bowl, and that was the idea of Bart. Money.
No, there used to be some around here.
Oh, yes, no, I saw it when I came in, actually.
Yeah, I forget where they are around here.
There's one guy, a Chinese guy, what happened was he had a hole in his helmet, and he started filling up the water. So what happened when the cooling system broke, it filled up with pressure. It's absolutely ridiculous. Once you start zooming,
It's on about Google, real footage, 24/7 footage. We want more. That ain't enough to show CGI.
Okay.
We want more.
It's audio and Video okay, everyone?
Or has that been doctored?
Showing the same side.
It's not one of the photos.
Same with the sun. Showing the same side.
So that's what I'm just trying to understand, like what you would consider proof would have to be. I guess seeing it yourself. Yeah. Right. Okay. I mean that you've set a very high bar, but like, in a way it's almost.
I'm being asked to believe a lot of things from these people who, let's face it, are proven liars. If you want to Google it yourself, you can. If you Google bubbles in space, you can see bubbles coming out of this astronaut helmets. If you want to Google CGI fails in space, you can see where the background drops out or the front drops out. It's clearly they're using layered videos for the International Space Station. You can see gravity fails where suddenly things will drop when they're supposed to be in zero gravity or low gravity. So it's clear that NASA are faking. So I would say if you had NASA in the dock and they were giving evidence for a trial, the judge would rule them an unreliable witness. You can't trust what they're saying. So then we're left to our own devices. What can we prove ourselves? Well, that is provable on Earth, that the water lies level and flat. And it leads you to some pretty painful, difficult places. Like, you know, a lot of people are being lied to. But I'm afraid that's kind of where it's led me, where I am with it.
Interesting to talk to you. We've got a roll.
Likewise.
Okay.
Enjoyed yourself so far?
Oh, it's been brilliant. Perfect weather, nice crowd.
So you said that it appeared the other planets appear to be spheres. Do you yourself not believe that they're spheres?
Well, look, I'm kind of trying to give up believing things, and I'm trying to stick to what I can prove.
So you've seen the flat Earth, like you've seen it flat.
Well, if you do an observation, which I have over land and sea, there is no observable curvature. So you're left with the conclusion with either it's a massively bigger ball, or the drop is not there. You know, that chart there will tell you how much drop you should see. But the drop isn't there, and as I said to the other fellow, that just leaves you to some really quite tricky questions. And
so you're basing it off your observations.
I think most flat earthers or globe deniers would say that observation comes first.
Okay.
You ought to do it yourself, and you know, most people who do that end up. You know, I didn't expect to be. You know.
What about all the employees that work for these organizations that do missions like this?
Well,
like they've signed like an NDA saying that they're not gonna.
Yeah, I mean, they surely would have if there were any kind of secrets that they have to cover. But most people working at NASA, they're going to be bolt turners or people, you know, doing this, that, or the other. It's only about, you know, there's a whistleblower, I think her name's Cherry something. She works at NASA and a couple of other companies that work with NASA, and she said that it's a great place to work, it's very positive, they do a lot for the staff, and 99 out of 100 know nothing about that. Right? It's only by chance that she was told by someone very senior that it's flat and we're not going anywhere. So
you think
that's only, you know, that's only testament of a human being, but it's interesting.
So you think that there's monetary gain from these organizations that are lying? Like they're making millions off of selling global balls to kids and stuff like that? Or?
Well, 52 million a day.
Right.
Is it for NASA?
Yeah.
You know.
But don't you think that they would make more money now admitting that it's flat? Because they'd have a whole new production of new Earths to sell in like gift shops and stuff.
Well,
right?
I
mean, hey, we figured something else. Now we're going to sell you billions.
It's interesting. I mean, you can see. I don't know if you saw this Netflix documentary called Behind the Curve, and that movie went.
I saw that one.
Yeah, it went. I mean, they sold it and sold it. So it's a growing market for that kind of skepticism. Yeah. So, and there's a guy called Rob Skiba who's trying to crowdfund a drama series based on it, and I think it will happen.
Yeah. What I noticed about that documentary is it mostly talked about the community. It was a lot to do about the community and then like the psychology. Yeah.
I mean, they started off that documentary. They just wanted to be like a fly on the wall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But if you listen to the commentary that they put on the iTunes, they got to a point where they suddenly decided they hated flat Earth. And that was when at the conference they had in Raleigh, North Carolina, a kid of 14 got up and asked a sympathetic question about flat Earth. And then it was a kind of, right, don't touch the kids. And they said in the commentary on that's they decided they had to go against flat Earth rather than just telling us. And I'm just talking to someone here. They got a young child, looked about 10 or 11, and she said that a good chunk of
education,
her fellow pupils are doubting the globe.
Oh, okay.
So it's coming through like a wave through the school, and quite a few teachers are finding it hard to deal with because there's some very difficult questions.
What was the thing that changed? Did you, throughout your life, believe that it was?
No, not at all. I mean, I've got a very typical story. Just about 4 years ago, I was just rooting around on YouTube, and at that time it was selecting videos to show you, and so I was of a skeptical nature. And
so it was like these mathematics and these observations that helped.
Yeah. I think the first thing that I looked into was flight routes.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, the routes don't make much sense. And having done, I did a long distance flight after that, and I had my camera set up in the window. And you're looking upon, I mean, you shouldn't be able to see it, but it does look flat, and the horizon does not fall, which it should do as you rise up. It should drop away, but it doesn't.
So in the idea of it being, I'm just trying to understand it better.
Sure.
So in the idea of it being flat, and you have these devices that are rotating around it, do you think that device is what's giving off the heat, or it's something else, like the sun or whatever the sun is?
There's definitely some unanswered questions. I mean, we've definitely got heat from below.
Okay,
yeah. There's huge heat trapped underneath the Earth, right? But the sun seems to give us most of our heat.
Because like the thing that I'm trying to understand is the idea that the sun is closer in certain parts of the Earth if it's a sphere, right? In the lower versus the higher. If it's flat, wouldn't we have the same weather? Why would we not have the same weather or heat? Like why is it warmer in South America than?
Try and show you something.
Do they turn it on higher when it's like around those sections?
I try and show you something.
Because I think it's really interesting, but there's very basic questions of like.
So do you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is.
We're
so you can see we're here. Okay. So. I'm not saying that this is everything that it is. I think it's a model, it's maybe not the model. But what is very interesting is that where that sun is, when that sun is on your line, it will be 12 noon. Okay? So that sun travels around. And notice you've got the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn, right? So it could be that it's spinning out for our winter, that it's farther away from us in the UK, and then it spins back in where we're here on summer. You see that it's on the tropic here. So that's when the summer is hottest. And then it spins back out again, and that's our winter.
So the actual route is expanding versus...
Yeah. And if the people who take a time-lapse photos of the sun over a whole year in the same position.
It's all scripted.
Yeah, Jason, you know what you're doing with this. Yeah.
Oh, and that's going close.
Yeah.
And that's going.
That's going at a fast rate. Yeah. So, kind of lost my point there, but yes, that's.
And what's the idea of what the barrier or not edge, but whatever's at the point in which we can't see? What's the idea of what is there?
Well, there's in this model, I don't know if this is the model, there is a shore, right?
Shore.
That shore is known as Antarctica.
And is it ice related or is it not ice related?
Well, the interesting thing about Antarctica is that it has the highest average altitude of any continent. It rises quickly to 2 miles, and it has places where it's 3 miles high. It's incredibly inhospitable. So when people talk about an ice wall, I mean, it's made of ice,
right.
Antarctica, although there may be hot areas in there because it's volcanic as well. But that's the basic conception. This model works very well.
But if it's a sphere, see if that's a sphere.
Yeah.
Why is the light going out more further this way than it is going inwards?
Well, it oscillates.
Like that's like a light here is like a flashlight. Like I'm flashing it that way. But if the sun is on top of us and it's a sphere, it would be dispersed like this.
No, actually.
Why?
Well,
like it would have to be lower to the ground, and if it was higher, it'd be more of a circular dispersion.
You know those kind of dome lenses you have like a paperweight.
Yeah.
Okay. if you take like a flashlight and you put that onto a table, and then you put that flashlight through that half-globe,
Right.
what happens is that you get a spread of light, which very closely mimics what you'd see as a day on Earth. And you can move that light around, and it will follow around just as it would the footprint of the sun on this model. So when we see the sun, we are not seeing the real sun. I mean, regular science admits that we see an apparent sun.
A delay.
Yeah. So that is not the actual position of the sun because it's coming through so much distorting layers of atmosphere. So it's a.
What's the difference in what we're seeing?
Well, that's not well understood. That's not well understood by any.
So the 8 minutes delay of light, that's not something that you know.
No, because it can't be 93 million miles away. For various reasons. If you consider, for example, you know about path loss. Okay.
I do know about path loss actually. Yeah.
The light source would diminish. You couldn't have a hard edge on that sphere if it's 93 million miles away because it's an incoherent light source, so it diffuses. The light will diffuse from an incoherent light source. So it does from a laser as well, but even more so. So that cannot possibly be 93 million miles away.
Right. But if the edge is ice related, wouldn't we see reflective of that light? Like ice reflects light. So we would have, if this idea of like the flashlight is going around the Earth and the edge of it is ice, that would reflect off the same way the sun reflects off the water, etc.
I don't know, I haven't heard that argument before. But it's interesting that there doesn't seem to be any real footage of a 24-hour sun at Antarctica because the sun doesn't seem to get out. You get a 24-hour sun in the Arctic Circle. That's been filmed. But I've never seen any convincing film of a 24-hour sun in the Antarctic. It doesn't disprove or prove anything, but it's just interesting. The only things that I have seen are completely fake. You can see because they have layers. You can see they've got a clock there, and the caption is on a different layer, so it's clearly been faked.
I think the biggest thing for me is like these are observations you can make here, but for me, I can't get past the idea that if I can observe other planets being spherical.
But does seeing something spherical in the sky make what you see?
No, it doesn't. But if there are 9 other things, and you're considered one of those 9 other things, like no, this is the flattest, but all other.
Why shouldn't the Earth be unique?
Yeah, I agree. So that is something that makes it unique. I agree. What about the seasons?
Well, as I was just
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
of course.
Nice to speak to you. The seasons, as I was just explaining, if the sun is describing a path, a circular path around the north, so it's describing a circle. So if in the hottest part of the year, it's above this tropic here, this side, and then when it will spin out and you'll get summer in the southern, the southern part, which is actually just further away from the north. I'll show you again. I'll show you this. Okay? Yeah, it oscillates between the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer. I'll just show you David Weiss's masterpiece. So right, can you see that? If I can cover it a little bit. So I got some shade here. Okay. So we're in the summer here, right? Mm-hmm. So you see the summer is with the sun is over this tropic here, and is much closer to us, right? As the season goes on, the sun is now starting to spin out further and further away from the north until it comes its furthest point out here, the Tropic of Capricorn, right, Jason? So it arrives at Capricorn and then it starts to spin back in again. So obviously when the sun is closer to us here, we're going to get our sun. When the sun is closer to them there, we get our sun, their sun.
All right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's also very interesting that the weather is much more extreme out in Antarctica than it is in the Arctic. We have, plants and animals and all sorts of things, are growing here around the north. But you get out here, it gets really extreme, and you can see maybe why. If the sun only reaches that tropic there, that's an awful long way for any heat to go to reach the Antarctic. And that maybe explains why, even at the Falkland Islands, which are in the South Atlantic, it's very hard to grow anything. The sun's energy is not there to provide the energy for plants to grow.
Yeah. Well, so the South Pole, right? Yeah. So if the day-night cycle works like this, where it's like this kind of day and night, so half the world is always in day, half the world's in night, right? But at the South Pole, you have these really weird day-night cycles that the days last a lot longer. Like today, the days last a lot longer and a lot shorter. Right. But how does that work on this model, where the days will be constant?
We don't see any 24-hour sun. We see the 24-hour sun if you go up to Norway, Alaska. There's so many people that have they've got videos.
Yeah, so you can see the sun going along the horizon,
but we haven't
right
got
the
that
way
in the
around.
south, and we should be just as much. It'd be a great sight to see.
It should be. If the sun's 93 million miles away, then you should be able to see the 24-hour sun in our winter when it's there somewhere. Yeah, well, I mean, this is just a model. I don't adhere to any particular model, but this seems to work pretty well. Antarctica is the shore around the kind of world lake, if you like, that little continent city, and extremely inhospitable place to go and explore. And even if you did want to, you're not allowed to. Have you heard of the Antarctic Treaty? 1958 or 9, is it? Somewhere there. That's what bans exploration of the Antarctic. So you can't go out there and check it out for yourself. 58, thanks. Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
What do you think about the recent discovery of gravitational waves?
Right. So you're talking about LIGO, this huge machine that they made. Well, I think it looks pretty desperate. I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever. And there are various things that are wrong with that. I mean, I've seen some interesting questions about the speed of gravity, right? So gravity should have a speed.
It's theorized to travel at the speed of light, yes.
I don't know if it should have the same speed as light, but in any case, they detected a gravity wave at 2 different times at 2 different observers. Well, I don't really know how that is possible if you've got a gravity wave. They should be detected exactly at the same time.
Yeah.
But they weren't. So, and it's interesting that experiment is a kind of attempt to recreate an experiment that happened at the end of the 19th century, which actually proved that we're not moving, and that in fact it's probably something called the ether that moves. This whole thing was they had to try and kill the ether, and these various experiments which showed that the Earth is stationary and that the stars move. And that's when Einstein came along with special relativity. And it's absolutely, when you look deeply into it, it's absolutely ridiculous, the explanation as to why this experiment is at fault. They had to say that somehow the arms, because the LIGO has 2 arms, right?
Yeah, with laser. Yep.
And they have to say that because it's travelling through space-time, one of the arms has shrunk.
Yeah.
And that's why you get a wrong reading, because the experiment proved that there's no movement. So they had to try and throw that in the bin, and that's when Einstein desperately came up with special relativity.
Right.
Although it's taught that it proves the absolute opposite. So generally, if I get into a discussion with physicists about it, they've been taught and drilled into them that it proves the opposite. I'm afraid it doesn't.
Because it's shortening it, yeah, with the gravitation, yeah.
So.
Yeah, the thing that like distance is relative, and and time is relative. Do you know why people have thought that?
Sure. Because it's important to the model. That's why they think it.
You should do the thing with the train. With the train and the light.
No.
Oh, that's a fun thing. I like
a bit of time.
Is this enough for you to go ahead and research with an open mind a bit more?
Yeah.
And that's all we're about. We just want you to research further. Yeah, if you're interested in that, look in detail at the different ways that people have accounted for the Michelson-Morley experiment. You've heard of that experiment?
Which one?
Michelson-Morley. That's what the LIGO is actually kind of based on, the Michelson-Morley. It's a kind of interferometer. It looks like a big pile of fudge, but
Well, what is this experiment?
well, you're splitting light into two parts. You're sending it down arms, and you're sending it through mirrors. And because if the Earth is moving, then they wanted to prove that the ether exists, right? A medium for light to travel. So you heard of the ether?
No, but I mean, it travels.
It's
in
kind
air.
of funny that you haven't heard of it, because that was the big thing in the 19th century. That they believed in something called the ether, which is, our sound that we're producing now has to travel through a medium. For you to hear me, it has to come through air, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the idea is that light must have a medium for it to propagate. Yeah. So they assumed there was something called the ether. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sound and light waves are different.
No, but it's a metaphor.
Okay.
It's a metaphor because both sound and light need a medium. Well, that's what they thought.
Okay. Well, that's what they thought. But
Yeah, that's what they thought, and that's what they were trying to measure the movement of the ether, or the movement of the Earth. They expected to see movement of the Earth proved in relation to the ether, by splitting these light waves. Because one light wave is at a right angle to the ether, one is obviously at a 45-degree angle to that.
Okay. And how would that prove the?
Well, they expected to see movement of the Earth proved by that experiment. They didn't see it.
Okay.
And that was a big problem for science.
Okay, I'm a little confused as to how that one's going to work if you're using light.
It's very hard for me to explain it to you without like a diagram. But I recommend you go online, have a look at a few sources. I'm not going to persuade you of anything today.
No, yeah, I know. I just know that because I know how the LIGO experiment was supposed to prove the gravitational waves, because of how the theory of relativity saying that you have gravitational waves because gravity itself is the curvature of space-time. And so if you have this curvature of space-time, if you have these waves, then when a wave passes, it should temporarily shorten the distance. And so you would be able to detect that with these lasers in two directions. Yeah, I think that they are right now. I think it's the first time. I think LIGO was the first time. That was just the first time that they did it. Well, no, that was the first time that they did it. But I think that there's been subsequent repeats of it. Yeah.
Cosmic radiation.
Well, you don't need to detect. Well, the radiation background is like extra noise, precise. But that's coming from celestial things. Right.
So what is it that it's detecting something?
Right.
But can't be proven what it's detecting. We've just got to believe.
Well, the idea was that.
And the model that they put together, we've got to believe.
Well, the experiment's designed so that the one thing that it was supposed to detect is the gravitational waves, and so they've tried to account for other factors, which is why they had two different stations. Because if it wasn't a gravitational wave, they wouldn't have detected both of it at the exact same time, which they did for that gravitational wave, because it is short. Because it's short.
They've detected something that's millions, trillions of miles away.
What have they detected?
The gravitational waves, the LIGO experiment.
What is a gravitational wave exactly?
Oh, so the idea from special relativity, Einstein's special.
No, I didn't ask about special relativity. I asked, what is a gravitational wave exactly?
Okay. So gravitational waves from special relativity. The first you need a little bit of background on.
No, but what is a gravitational wave?
Okay.
Tell me what a gravitational wave. I'm just a dumb person.
No, that's fine. It's like it's a change in space-time.
Space-time.
Yes.
Why are you telling me about something it does in space? Why don't you tell me what it does here on Earth?
Right.
Like what is gravity?
Well, space-time is
no. You keep
all
saying
of them.
space-time and relativity and general relativity.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm asking about gravity.
Yeah, gravity itself.
Yeah, so don't give me a say.
Okay, so gravity is the force exerted by the attraction between two objects, right?
Okay.
And so that's how, like, the Earth and the Moon, right? So gravity is.
No, yeah. So let me just stop you before
Yeah.
you go into
Yeah,
your
that's fine.
tangent.
No, that's fine.
In Narnia, so you're saying that it's two objects attracting one another.
Yeah.
So are we attracting one another?
Yes.
We are.
Yes.
Is that railing attracting to me?
Yes.
It is.
All
where'd
objects that have mass will attract each other.
And where'd you get that idea?
Well, the idea from gravity. That's supported by the planets.
No. Let's not go there. Let's keep it to what we can see. Let's keep it to what we see in real life.
Of everything you can.
So
well,
where do we see?
I mean, you can see it.
No. Let's not go to Narnia. Let's just keep it on Earth.
No, but you can see it with a
Wait,
telescope.
I want to be able to see gravitational waves. So you're saying that those
But
railings?
you can't see a gravitational.
Oh, so you can't see it?
No.
You can't, that railing is apparently being attracted to.
I mean, you can't see bacteria, but you know that they're dangerous.
You can see through bacteria through lenses.
But you can see
Magnification.
stars through lenses.
You can.
Yes.
Whereas I don't see gravitational. I don't
No.
see gravity. So what? Ask again. What is gravity?
Gravity, the attraction between two objects of mass.
Can you prove that? Can you demonstrate that?
That's what we've been looking
Can you
for.
demonstrate that?
That's what we want.
Yeah.
Research, because we want the proof of that.
Stop pointing up there. Right here.
No, if you take two bowling balls,
Actually, there's a particular. Yeah.
So just in
set
one.
up
So
a
just,
torsion, set up a torsion
No, you're
balance, it's fairly easily detect. It'll take you about an
No, I
hour.
do remember.
I'm sorry?
in that one example,
I've
then,
done it at school.
you can demonstrate gravity. But everyone else
It's to
in
measure
there,
the force of gravity.
shutting me down. Everyone else in there can't prove gravity or
sorry?
demonstrate gravity.
Wait, what? Sorry, I didn't.
It can be applied to that Earth, but it's actually measuring the force of gravity between two objects.
I'm asking you.
Yeah, thank you. No. It was to measure the force of gravity between two objects, which is exactly what he just
Well, I'm not saying
did it.
up there. I'm saying that why. So, why do you think that the moon goes?
I've done it. I've done it.
Great. All I want from
Well, they won't let you. Just throwing out all the evidence.
I think it's fantastic because I'm going to come across you the first person.
It's an undergraduate experiment in the first year physics
Film
lab.
it by any chance? Did
No,
you?
I did not.
That's such a shame. That's terrible. I'd love to have seen that.
This is this Cavendish.
Gravity would be the.
It's a variation of Cavendish.
But the attraction is very, very
What
weak.
equipment do you use?
So you need two. So you need two objects with a lot of mass.
A lot of mass. Like what? How big? This big? This
No.
much mass?
A
No.
lot of mass.
A lot of mass.
Like the
Like
size.
me?
Like the size of a planet.
Oh, okay. So
You would need
demonstrate
something
gravity
to be able to see
You
it.
need two objects massive enough to be the size of the Earth.
Yes.
To be able for you to demonstrate it to me.
Yeah.
Just watching the reflection.
So how are you going to demonstrate that to me?
Well, you can see it for yourself. You can see that the moon goes around.
Oh, you don't need an interferometer. It's not.
Right.
You can see the distance
Where's gravity? I can't-
you're pointing.
So why does the moon go around? It doesn't.
Oh no, you're asking me now. I was asking you what
But like,
gravity was.
but objective observation. Just why do you personally think the moon goes around and around?
I don't think anything's an idiot. I'm asking you what.
Well, we've observed it, right?
Yeah, that's an observation. We have an observation
All the way up.
of celestial bodies, suns, moons, stars rotating around us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why
I don't know how that you link that then to some magical force that we can't see.
Do you think that there's?
Or,
Well, would you say
witness.
that there's no force at all between these objects and they just go around all the time by magic?
Well, would you say that they're being held together by two big, like magical forces?
Well, that's something that we observe. For some
No,
reason,
no, we
for some
observe.
reason we do. We see them go around.
You do, and I agree
And we
with
don't
you.
know why they go around. Each
I
other,
agree
right?
also on that
So why
point.
can't we call the thing that why they go around each other gravity?
Why did they call?
The magic force. The magic force
Magic
of why they
force.
go around each other, right?
Why did they go around each other? Okay.
Yeah. Why do they go? Why do
Why
they
are you
go?
asking me?
Right. But if we don't know why they go around each other, let's call it
Do
gravity.
you know what? No.
No, let's call it-
let's not call it.
No, let's say-
let's
let's-
not agree on terms. Let's
Sure.
call it unicorns pulling around, like on a big cart,
Sure.
like a train.
We'll call that force. We'll call that force the unicorn force.
Not large enough mass.
So we call this the unicorn force.
How are they
And
pulling?
now
How is the unicorn pulling?
we
the
don't
moon?
know. So that's what we've observed.
So how do you know what?
So that's
how
what
do
we've
you know
observed,
what?
right?
Wait, how do you know what force the unicorn is applying to
We
the
don't
moon?
know. We don't know how it's
Okay,
doing that.
so we don't know.
Right.
So we don't know.
So let's do some experiments. Let's try and figure out
Right, name an
how it's
experiment.
doing it.
You need something
Right.
very heavy.
Do you know what an experiment is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's where you're trying. You
Now
have.
give me the three definite
You have an you see something at first.
an observation.
Then
In
you
the
form-
natural phenomenon.
Yes. Then you form a hypothesis as to why that occurs.
Which is understanding or your theory about why it happens.
Then the third thing you do is you try and eliminate all the variables except for the one thing you're trying to
No,
test.
you're dependent variable. And you're
Yeah,
independent.
you're independent variable. Right. So you need to eliminate everything else that you're trying to do. Right. So then.
So you know an experiment is. Yeah, you're not able to apply that into what your say-so stories you're getting from whatever the universe and all these things. You understand what a scientific experiment is.
Yeah.
How would you eliminate all the variables that just so stories say about celestial bodies rotating around galaxies being pulled through space?
Well, if you build
Thousands
progressively.
and hundreds of thousands of
Right.
numbers and all that.
Well, if you compile them all together. Yeah, but it's a lot of we start with this thing and then we observe and we make a theory around that.
Start with something. Start with an observation.
We can or
Yeah, you
cannot.
start with one observation.
I'm sorry, no,
then you
which
make
was
a
it?
hypothesis, and then a lot of people have the same hypothesis and see the same results, and then you make that a basis. That's one your basis, and then once you know this basis, right, then you build upon it. Why can't you build upon it?
You don't build upon it. Scientifically,
You have to build on your experiments. You can't start with nothing.
You either produce a null or you produce a result.
Right, and then you produce. But once you produce a result, then you can build upon it.
Okay.
Don't you want to
Try another experiment? If you've proven that natural phenomenon is being caused by that one variable, then why do you need to build on that?
So that we can learn more.
Learn more, but you've proven what the.
You've proven the one thing that you want to know, so then you ask another question about, is this more specific? And sometimes you're wrong. What?
It's not about asking questions. It's a hypothesis test. You said it yourself. You know you can.
Well, you think it works like that, and then you falsify the hypothesis if it's wrong. But if it's right, then you're like, okay, great. So this worked. Now let's build upon it. Let's ask another question, right?
You said yourself, a hypothesis test is not a natural observation of a phenomenon.
Well, then you can build upon those to make another hypothesis as to something else, why something else occurs, right?
Yeah, another observed phenomenon.
Right.
Yeah. So why are you shotgun and scattergun?
But you can also
if you've proven that phenomenon, why do you need to build on that? Why do you need to just philosophize about it?
You don't philosophize.
Yeah, you say let's ask other questions and build up these stories into something that's so non-tangible and non-testable, repeatable, non-scientific or experimental.
Like which ones aren't? Like I mean, I guess
for gravity, for example.
Yeah.
What would be a hypothesis for gravity?
Hypothesis.
Yeah. So we see. So let's. I don't want to beg the question for you, but you're saying that gravity is mass attracting mass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your hypothesis for mass attracting mass?
Well, if I have an object and it falls to the most massive object, then that's probably gravity at work.
Okay.
What's the most massive object all around?
So all of a sudden, the railings of me and you are not attracting each other, or we are, but we're not being pulled towards each other. But the minute you lift an object up, you drop it vertically, it falls vertically. Apparently, all of a sudden, then that's gravity.
Well, we call that force gravity.
Why isn't your hat coming towards me then? If I'm bigger
Because you're not the most massive object.
Okay, then there's a plus there. Why isn't
Because
that
it's
being
still
pulled towards
not
the
the most massive object. What's the most massive object that we are currently standing on right now? Right. Look how large that space is.
See, I've lived here like 32 years.
Right. So then why would it ever go to the other side? That's confirming your hypothesis. Right, it never goes to that side because it's not the most massive object.
So you're saying that piece of clothing fell, and that's gravity.
Well, it's an effect of gravity, yeah.
It's a demonstration of gravity.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens if you put that plastic in the bottle? you weighted it down or you dropped it in the water, what happened then?
Well, you'd assume it would sink if you put weights in it, right?
Well, if you like, put it in water, there's gravity there.
Well, then you have gravity versus density, and that's
right.
the thing.
Well, it's not gravity versus density at all.
Well, that's air.
So is that not dense?
It's less dense than us.
So it is relative density.
Yeah.
So but you keep bringing in this magic force in sort of down, it can improve.
Well, not necessarily just going down. You can you can do that particular experiment with
You
cooling.
said with the water, when I asked you where gravity stops, and we sort of well, you said what happens when it reaches water, and you said then it's then density. Well, get water.
Well,
water.
gravity's still acting
I'm
on
not
it.
quite sorry. I'm afraid. So water is a liquid. Air is also another element, right? It's a gas, and anything with so much like an Earth is a mass. Is a solid, right? So you got the three elements: solids, gas, air. Solid, gas, and liquid.
Yeah, it makes it better. Yeah.
So you've got a solid there, and what happens when you release a solid? It goes and finds its equilibrium at the surface of another solid. Okay?
Well, no, it doesn't have to go to a solid.
Well, if it goes into a gas and it's denser than the gas, it's going to fall
If it's
down
denser than the gas,
until it reaches the bottom, right?
Yeah, but you
So
can get a solid to float on the gas.
You can get a solid to float in a gas. How do you get a solid to float in a
You
gas?
can get an aluminum boat to float on. Oh man, what is it? It's. I don't want to say radon.
It's like one specific thing that you're struggling to
Yeah, it's a
remember
very
right now.
specific heavier element.
So
because
one
it's
thing.
quite dense.
So that's one.
Yeah, it's
maybe-
one particular element.
Okay,
It's
so-
really cool.
Yeah, I'm sure there are like anomalies, like when you get the blacksmith, the big iron anvil, and you put that in magnesium, that floats. Yeah. So there's these phenomenons like this, but when you look at it,
It shouldn't float in magnesium.
well, it does.
Does it?
That's why it's density.
It should float in
The anvil
mercury.
is super dense iron. Or
Right,
steel.
it should float in mercury,
And
but
then
not
it-
magnesium. Actually, I'm not sure, but never mind.
Well, whatever. One of the liquid metals, which is more dense than the anvil. It's all density.
Yeah.
It's all density. It's nothing to do with gravity.
Well then, you think about gravity.
Force that just drives everything when it just hinders what your observations are, which is. He's doing well. I think he's learning a little. Hopefully, anyway. But you see at the moment that this jacket is denser than the air, so it goes down and finds its natural equilibrium. This bottle is at rest. This bottle is at rest. That is at equilibrium. For there to be any force applied to that, I'd have to apply the force. Look at this. You don't see anything like this happening in nature. I am applying that force. That's the force you're observing. This is falling back because it's denser than the air, back down to where it came from at rest. That's cool, man. It took me a while, like, for it to.
No, I'm trying to
for me
figure
to.
out if there's.
It took a while for me to get on board as well, man.
They'll discount the whole bowling ball thing where you actually have a track.
I haven't seen this particular.
So the idea,
setup. But
idea
also
is
it's
that you're trying to eliminate all other forces
by creating something.
No, by just so that it's just gravity, so that you can just see the observation of gravity. And so what they did is that I think that with the actual experiment where they tried to eliminate all the variables, they put it in a vacuum, right? So that
Not
you,
an experiment.
well, that's the setup. This is the setup for you.
It's not an experiment.
It's it's not an experiment yet.
Why-
So they have a room.
Why do you refer to it as an experiment?
Can you let me finish so
No,
I can?
I'm just going. When you're wrong, I'm going to say stop. Rephrase it if you need to. But it's not an experiment.
If gravity exists, then there is
You're telling me
a
about
track.
This observation, which I'm just saying it's not. I'm restating it's not an
You
experiment.
can't refute something if you haven't even.
No, I'm
heard what
refuting the
gonna
word you used. You said you used the word experiment.
Yeah.
It's not an observation of an actual phenomenon. You've created this apparatus to do this
Right, to
observation.
test your own theory.
No.
Yeah, you
well,
have to
could-
verify.
well, you could,
Because a big
test-
part-
you
because
could
the
test
experiments
gas
that-
for- you could test gas for unicorn farts. Doesn't make a difference. Right?
Okay, well, let's go back to the gravity thing.
No, let's go back to
let's
the
go back to proving gravity.
observation.
Let's proving gravity because you still have to verify that you're.
Sorry,
you have to keep verifying that your
theory
theory is correct.
I'm just trying to hone you in a little bit so we can round out.
Sure.
This,
Yeah, okay, so
got
gravity,
things-
right?
We're trying to round out. So I think.
So gravity. So we'll start with gravity. Gravity hypothesized as a force.
Let me help
Gravity.
you round this out. So you're going to lead to say that a apparatus created by human beings somehow demonstrates a magical force.
Well, it seems like a bit of a generalization.
I'm just trying to summarize or round out.
Well, let's not summarize, because I think it's really important to not summarize for this particular
What part of
experiment.
that did I miss
Because
that was key to what you was going to explain about?
Because the only reason humans are setting up things is that it's the third part of it. You need to eliminate all the other variables. So that's why the humans set up things, so that we can get rid of all the other stuff that we know could mess up the experiment. Okay? Right?
Okay, so that's your controls. Okay.
So, yeah, so those are your controls. So those are the things that will all stay the same. And so the idea, right, is that big parts of experiments is that once you have an idea, once you have your hypothesis, you need to try and falsify that as many times as you can.
And you falsify it once, and your
Wait,
hypothesis
you
is
try to
thrown
falsify.
out.
No, you
may as well go in
No,
the
I said
trash.
try. I said
May as well
try to
burn it.
I said try to falsify things. You try to falsify it as many times as you can, and if you can't falsify it, then you know that this thing actually exists.
If you falsify it, that's your no. If you
Right.
prove it,
can't
then
prove-
you've proved
you
your
can't prove
hypothesis. Oh my God! If I'm walking along this park and I see that there's water coming up, a hot spring, I could take some of that water and I can just observe what happens to it. Nothing, right? When I take it from that hot spring, I can hypothesize and say, well, I've witnessed.
okay,
Don't interrupt me because this is
let's go
don't
back.
interrupt you. This is, I think, going to help you understand what, from a practical point of view, what a experiment, scientific experiment is. Observation or natural phenomenon. I could be walking across this park and I can see water, hot water bubbling. I can take a sample of that water and I can. No, can you not? Can you not interrupt? So I need to get this out.
You interrupt.
So I'll start again. Every time I stop, I'm going to start again. So I'm in this park, I'm walking across the grass, and I see boiling water coming out of the ground. It's a natural phenomenon, I can't explain it. I can take a sample of that water, and then I can leave it, and yeah, it's just water. So I can hypothesize, okay, what my hypothesis would be boiling water. Water from ground, boiling water. So my hypothesis could be, I think that adding acid to the water will make it boil. So I do an experiment where I take the same water, add acid to it, but acid doesn't make the water boil. Right? So acid, that is the no.
Right, then you falsify. Can we go back to the...
So then I say, well, what else changes? What else can I do to make that, replicate that experiment, that hypothesis? I can add heat. So we know that heat makes water boil. Therefore, my hypothesis would be boiling water from ground, applied heat, boiling water from ground.
Yeah, okay. That's a good example. So back to gravity and this experiment that you're setting up, right? So you need so we've observed, so to go back to like gravity, right? We've observed this force, we don't know what it is. The force that obviously is pulling this jacket to the ground. We don't know what that force is. Okay, so just bear with me, okay?
Gravity isn't a force.
Okay.
You're even teaching.
Okay, yeah. So there's this force.
Where's the force?
Okay, well there's some observation that this goes to the ground, right?
You just thrown it to the ground.
Okay, well I'm not going to throw
You
it.
applied force. Now you applied lift, that's a force.
Okay. So there's this...
Are you saying there's no gravity, or I've lost the argument?
Well, I've tried to find out what gravity is. You know? I've asked questions, and it's gone down multiple different routes, but jumped around what it is and what it could do. But actually, he doesn't know.
Okay, so let's start with an
I wouldn't want to beg
observation.
the question. 'Cause,
Okay, so let's start with an observation.
Gravity, it doesn't exist. Gravity is not a force. It hasn't been proven to be a force. It's not observable. It's not being proven, tested, repeated, or nothing.
So let's start with an observation. This falls to the ground, right?
I've explained this one lots of times. You have applied lift. You're now applying lift to that jacket to lift it from its equilibrium.
So it goes back to its equilibrium, but you would say that the equilibrium where it wants to be is on the ground, right?
How's the jacket going to push its way any further? How's the jacket going to go?
Well, no, I'm not asking that. But you do say that it goes to the ground, right?
Then that's obviously the place it's going to stop.
Yeah, it goes to the ground. Right. But why did it go to the ground?
Why did it go to the ground?
Yeah.
Well, where was it before it went to the ground?
Right here.
Okay, before you picked it up.
Still here. I mean, before I picked it up, I don't know, in my bed.
On your bed?
Yeah.
Okay. So, it was at rest on your bed, and now you're bringing it out of the house, you're carrying it around London, you're bringing it to the park to speak to us as a demonstration of gravity by now letting it go. Whereas if your bed was here and you stood on your bed and you let it go, where would it go back to? Your bed.
Right, but is its bed the natural resting place?
It's a resting place.
It's a resting place. But if I stand near a bed, but then if I stand over a cliff and I drop it, it'll go all the way to the bottom of the cliff,
Red heron
right?
fallacy.
It's
Complete
going
red
to the
herring.
lowest point, right?
It's not a red herring. What's that one? If you drop it off a cliff, it's gonna just fall exactly like rest.
Right. It'll fall, right?
Yeah, because you've lifted it, you've gone to a cliff and you've dropped it.
Right.
You've
but
let go of it.
Right. So it goes all the way to the ground, right? So what some people thought is that actually that's not going to work.
Yeah, go on.
Right, but it goes all the way to the ground, right? And so let's say that we don't know why. So at first we don't know why it goes to the ground. We just know that it does. That's our observation.
No, you don't. We do. People know why it goes to the ground.
Why?
Because that's where it came from. It's going to go back to its resting state. It's going to go back. The tree produces apples.
The lowest
apples
state it
fall to
can.
the ground. And why does that happen? Because the apples came from the ground. They came to where they came from. Of course they did.
Apples grown on a tree.
No, the roots took the nutrients from the ground up to the tree.
So everything comes back to the ground. Is that what you're saying? So its natural state began. Okay.
Be it in its natural element form or a product that is produced by lots of different. It's going to go back down to its resting state. Eventually, yeah, if you want to go on further and say there's a what and become
But it goes to the ground, right? And so you're saying it goes back to its state no matter what?
It goes back to its resting state, yeah. Like this.
But your argument with Apple, okay. But your argument with Apple.
I shouldn't have thrown that one in. It's a bit,
okay, so then
it's not
what about
complicated,
apples?
please.
Apples start in the air and then come to the ground.
No, apples start from the nutrients of the ground.
From the nutrients of the ground, right? Sure. I mean, and then but if you
Grew
fall
on the tree, become heavy. The tree branch. Well, we don't know what it does.
Okay,
but
what if we propose
it
a
became
different
too heavy for
hypothesis?
the branch.
So that's your
And the
explanation?
branch
Can I offer an
broke
opposing
off
explanation?
and landed.
Can I offer an opposing explanation to, instead of everything returning to its natural state? And then let me explain all the way through my line of
Well, you
thinking.
put it to me, and then if it's you put it to me first, and then we might.
Sure. Okay. So everything returns to its natural state. That's your hypothesis. That's your idea. My hypothesis.
prove that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
It's not. So it's
That's
a,
your.
It's a valid.
So it's yours. My idea
not mine.
is that all objects that have some kind of mass
It's an observation of nature.
are attracted to each other. Now follow me through with this, right? And how did we come up with this? How did we come up with this? So we started with this, right? And it falls to the ground, right? And we don't know. Let's say that we don't know why it falls to the ground yet.
We've
So
gone
let's
through
say,
this.
no, but
You've
let's say
applied
it's
You've
the
justified
first
lifts
person
to that
ever.
jacket.
We don't know why
You've
it falls to the ground.
No, you don't.
But then we
Excuse
look
me,
up.
excuse me.
But then
No,
we look
I'm not
up.
gonna
We
go
look
around.
up at the moon.
I'm gonna go around.
I'm not okay.
You
But
applied-
when we look up at the moon, right?
So let's
and we
apply-
see
let's
that
apply
things go
dropping a
around the
jacket
Earth.
to an observation about something we know
Right.
very little about.
And so, why doesn't the moon come down to the Earth, right? Surely it should also fall to the ground. It's not just going to float in the sky.
You're quite right. Why shouldn't it?
Right. Why shouldn't it fall to the ground? So we have the moon, but it doesn't go. It doesn't go to the ground. It goes around the Earth, right? But why doesn't it go? But why doesn't it come straight to the ground, right? And then why does the Earth instead go around the sun?
There's a lot of questions we don't know.
Right.
So we
So
don't
this is
we
just
don't
these things
propose
that we
to
start
know.
observing.
We
And so
we
a planet
say that we don't
with
know.
a lot of mass, right?
Whereas you're going to look to some priest, some science.
So then we come up with this
infiltrated
idea
priest to
that
tell you
maybe
about all
maybe
these
things don't go all the way to
philosophical
what is
ideas
down, right?
about what galaxies
Maybe
are.
maybe down's relative, right? Think for a second that down is not exactly what you think it is. So, right, so if the moon's going all the way around, it's not coming down. That's kind of odd, right? So, what if there's this attraction between not just down, but to each other, to other objects, right? And so that's where this idea
Unicorns
that
are
gravity,
pushing these objects
that
together.
gravity's not actually just
In
down. It's not
Narnia,
always
mate. In
down,
Narnia, that might be
right?
the case, but here on Earth,
But then
can't say- you
we
can't
do
show
not
me
down,
that you
but
can
to
only
each other.
repeat what your
And so we
priest
set
told
up this experiment to see that if it's not attracting to each other, not just straight down. But to do this experiment, we need to eliminate some other things first. So we need to eliminate, first of all, things like density, things like the air. Because density is going through different mediums, right? So just think about really quickly density, right? So if you have a liquid, right, and something's more dense than
to the
liquid,
moon,
it'll go down.
Now you're back on Earth and talking about
Because it's density.
and density. Stick to one subject.
And so,
Stop jumping around.
so we need to
Take a
eliminate some of the other
breather. I like to
factors.
do this. Danny also does.
So
this.
we need
If
to
you
eliminate
wanna
some of
take
the
a
other
breath-
factors, right?
If you want to take a breath and
Wait,
just
we need to
30
eliminate the other
seconds.
factors. The first thing we do
I have been
is
pretending.
we suck out
But he can't
all the
stick
air
to one
from this
thing.
room. Now it's a
I'm
vacuum.
interested in what he's trying to say.
We've eliminated the density, this other factor. What if there's wind, right? That could also affect it. Yeah.
How did you eliminate density?
Because we need to eliminate all the other particles.
How did you eliminate
Okay,
density?
never mind.
No, you're saying...
No, the other factors. So we've eliminated all of the particles in this room, right? All the other air.
Nice to meet you.
Then the next thing
He's just gonna like one person talk and talk and talk and talk.
Then the next thing
I
that
just
we
ripped all
set
this
up
out.
is right is we have it's like a T shape, right? It looks kind of like a balance. Is this with the? Yeah.
That was interesting.
I realise everything we've been talking about on trust.
It's a big one, isn't
Yeah,
it?
we've had some interesting conversations about it.
Chris, yeah, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you, Jason.
We just had a couple there, and in the end it was a waste of time because he was coming out with galaxies. He was telling us about Einsteinian laws, and anyway we're just looking at each other, let him carry on ranting on. Some people it's a waste of time, you know. But we, you know, I shook his hand. I said we agree to disagree. Nice bloke, very nice bloke. But his indoctrination was completely off the scale.
Think about one other thing right now that is
Obviously a Nathan Oakley fan.
Yeah, big Nathan Oakley fan.
Kind of got picked up on all of that.
Apologies for that, but I mean, when you
if it's based on that,
when you wake up and you can find somebody that can put something so concisely. It's you wake up in stages, don't you? You wake up from 9/11. You wake up from what money is. You know, about the layers of control, and then you come. And then for me, I came across Flat Earth more from like my training as well as a civil engineer and an architect, about the measurements, observation, and the way perspective works. And it never occurred to me that all the science also has been fabricated. Martin Luther. I'm learning about history like I've never learned before. I'm learning about science I've never learned before. It just goes to show somebody like myself has been like A star student, B and A through all uni, did the whole uni thing, and never even occurred to me that the foundations of our teaching is just complete fabrication, and they haven't given us the tools to critically think. When we become an adult and there's something that is quite a controversial subject picks your ear, like tweaks your ear, and you'll think, wow, I haven't even looked into that myself.
Just say, please sir, can I just have some proof? Any proof? Just give me some proof.
Yeah, and you like try and find. For me, I'm inquisitive, so I try to find something, and yeah, you find their whole Earth calculator. I mean, that works against them in all respects, and then it does bug a perspective. It doesn't take into perspective one bit. An object 100 miles away is the same object, but on there that doesn't take into perspective. That just shows that there is no curvature. It's a great tool, but it's from them, but it also screws up their arguments. People say about boats going over the horizon. With the P900s, P1000s, you can just zoom into it. When you fly, you don't see any curvature. The horizon's always eye level.
Have you done a flight since?
Yeah, I purposely now book a flight. I book my seats on the flight next to the window. So when we fly, take a little level as well. I've done that. Yeah, I'll get a window seat just because, embrace it. Wow, why not ponder it here and see, wow, what is this? Like, wow, look at that. It's
Like a young lad that we were talking to, he was becoming quite triggered. He was getting a little bit upset there a little bit because he's running out of answers.
I wanted to
go back in a circle.
I wanted to get to the core of his argument. And then when he found out he didn't know himself, he then scattergun, shotgun approach, and he was jumping all over the place, and it was getting a little frustrating, kind of coming back to, what we observed here. I give a pretty poor example about the hot water thing. I need to look up that one again, but it made sense when I heard about it. But yeah, like, it's just they label it as science, they label it as an experiment, and it isn't. At best, it's an observation.
You were trying to explain that to him it wasn't an experiment, what he was trying to grasp at. You went through the scientific method, but he couldn't grasp what you were trying to say.
But he knew it, he just didn't know how to apply it. He knew what it was, but or ignorantly, he didn't know how to apply it, and he ignored it when pointing in the sky at celestial beings and bodies. And
do you think there's any chance that he will go away and do the research? Do you think there is?
Yeah, I think we showed it. Hopefully, we just maybe shone a bit of light on something that he knows. He just needs to link it. I believe so. Yeah. It'll annoy him because he was information driven, right? He was like he could recite a lot of stuff. So you can see he's interested.
Was it annoying to you? Was it did it upset you when you first started realising, hello, something's wrong here?
Yeah. It's I've been waking up since like 2009. First thing was 9/11.
So I believe the narrative. 9/11, something like that. Of course that was like some caveman Arabs or something like that. Do all that.
I seen it on TV. I seen it on the TV that day. I seen the first tower, and then I went out skateboarding.
Yeah, right.
And my friends had just gone straight out after school. I was like, hey guys, there's big towers come down in the States. And then we found another one came down. But when you look at it, I went to a talk in Holland, Architects and Engineers Against 9/11 The Truth. I went to a load of people from the architecture practice, and not talking about ideas or anything, just the fact, like the way buildings couldn't fall at free fall speed, even the way it was constructed. It had a central core, it had a structural facade, it had structural floors. We don't build in buildings like that now. We build buildings with the Twin Towers were built shortly after the Empire State Building. First buildings of these types, they were super scrapers. They were over-engineered. A lot of the lightweight structures we build now are much thinner and lighter. So you just think about it, right? A plane made out of aluminium hitting a tower, but how the hell is it going to push its way through a floor plate if it does penetrate a steel facade?
I'd say a bird strike will take off the whole day.
You see a bird strike on a plane, right? And it's like a big dent or something. It really screws them up, right? So even this no plane theory, take it with a pinch of salt, but the more I've waking up about it, at the beginning I found it hard, because I thought, maybe, somebody could do it, but a lot of the stuff that comes out, even though trajectory of the planes coming in, and some of the footage that people have gone back and slowed down was very glitchy. That plane that's supposedly gone into the Pentagon, come on man, like the most guarded building in the world.
So what about space become a problem?
Well, I didn't even look at the flat earth. I didn't even look at the space thing until I went back to I got family in Holland, until I went back to there, and they were sat me down in the living room, and they were like, you gotta watch this. And I think it was maybe Dave Murphy had done a voiceover, the biggest lie ever told, and it was that one. It's very well done, very well done. And I was like, yeah, but what about gravity? When you pull in these things, and fair play to my cousin, he was like, just just watch it through, and pause it when we wanted to. I was like, for me, that was a new pocket of information, because they do lead you to believe that everything has been discovered, and there's no point going and looking for these things. There's no point going exploring, because every building's been discovered. They do close you in these little bubbles, and people think, well, middle-aged people think, well, they've discovered everything. Why should I even bother looking? And actually, that's the lie. It's not about the shape of the earth. It's about the lie, about the whole entire known. Things like this, things like that, which are tangible, are really key for me. I believe if you can show somebody, or just even say to them, you shouldn't see the cliffs of Dover from Calais. When next time they go to Calais on the Eurostar, and they can look back themselves, with their normal camera on a clear day. Exactly, yeah, and a big portion of them as well. I mean, I think they're 350 feet. There should be 300 feet, and there should be 350 feet of curvature between them. Okay, yeah, that's a beautiful part of the world. Shouldn't be able to see it now. So things like tangible stuff like that. When you start toying with the idea, to me, I find it very frustrating when you're talking about Narnia, because I haven't been to Narnia, right? I haven't read the book. I don't know what it's about. I can only take your word, your say-so story. I can't even entertain it, because Narnia for me could be the Lego movie, How can you compare the Lego movie film? Let's come out on Narnia and let's talk in terms of where we are here on it.
It's good to meet you. Jason after this.
Yeah, that's right.
They live here. What is that? When they were there, you stay in the kitchen. You don't go anywhere by yourself. She said to him, look, get there, start a video.
Dave Murphy's there, but then the other Dave as well. The South African guy. You've been around though, like Tower Bridge and stuff.
That's right, you've seen something.
Oh, I just seen him on live.
Oh, you seen him
today? No, yesterday, for example, like Tower Bridge and stuff. And Jason. And he might pop down later. Oh man, I might pop around and wind some people.
Oh, that's a good talk, that was.
Was it?
Yeah, good lad.
You don't believe he's supposed to be. I'm asking. Wait, the sun wants the sun. Hawaii,
Oh, it's getting a little bit quiet. I'm just trying to find where is everyone. There we go.
When you read the story of the Old Testament and understand it, it's a really amazing and cogent story. Yeah? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It's just Dave just talking. I think a little bit of religion. I think it is being filmed.
By the way, this is the weirdest conversation ever. Like, these people is right, and this dude, he conspiracies from the Bible, and it's like Celtic and the people.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Some people are just here to talk shit.
He's a visualizer for that.
I need 14 hands, so I'm running out of battery. So my cable's not working properly. So I'm holding my cable up, but difficult day. Hello, got a police here. There we go. We're just having a little quiet time, we are. How you getting on, Barry?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, just good turnout, isn't it?
Yeah, you've been doing well.
Good day.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people. What do you think life was made up?
Yes.
A lot of people.
Yeah, you've done well.
Some people went over and said it makes a lot of sense, you know.
Thank you, Ricardo. I'm holding my cable into my phone really tight here. Guys, look, my phone wants to shut down. It's struggling for battery power.
On a frisbee, where would it be floating? So the anomalistic cycle fits into the 4 years.
Magma, yeah, heat moves like it goes when it's something that's got rises, isn't it? You're saying if it's a circle like that, it's going to be rising. It's going to be like that. If it's fluctuating, it doesn't rise So what about Earth's, like, it deflects radiation, how does it do that? Like, if it's a frisbee,
There's more land.
Did you know that
there's a soil culture around it, there's a certain vibe.
But Admiral Byrd explored the Antarctic, and there was film footage of more land beyond the 200 foot ice wall. If you research Admiral Byrd, BYRD, look him up.
It's not a liquid core. No, they say it's a solid core surrounded by a liquid. You can't have that's a ball magnet. That's a ball magnet. But this is a moving current. That's what generates it. It's like an electrical field that generates it. It's a motion. It's a dynamo effect. It's not just a magnet, a solid magnet. It has been demonstrated. You can demonstrate that in your So an iron core, a very solid iron core, liquid on the outside of that, and the liquid doing its motion generates an electrical field.
Growing in its infancy.
which is what they know, because they've only drilled less than 1% of the radius.
So they're accounting for magma at least. This doesn't account for magma, this doesn't account for a solid core. This is just saying what is above magnet, you don't know.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, that doesn't make sense. They're making a claim.
You believe in it?
No, I stop believing in the heliocentric model. But if you make a claim, then you have to back it. If you think it is influence,
Can't give out the leaflets today. No one's biting.
so far,
What's the most convincing piece of evidence right now? Okay, the most mathematical.
how much curvature there should be. So look at the Jordan fit, for example, 59, which is 100
So I just told him.
You know what? Sorry to cut you. That sounds like, I don't know, you're using the maths on your side. We shouldn't be able to see this according to this. We shouldn't be able to see it.
In every direction.
Sorry? This is we're telling people that they've been lied to all their lives, and that they should check out what they've been taught regarding the heliocentric model. Because at the age of 5 years of age, when you were taught that you lived on Mars, as adults, I mean, at what point did we ever investigate that ourselves? We didn't have the ability
You have the capacity to investigate. You have the knowledge to investigate.
Well, and that's what we should be doing.
Are you qualified enough? Are you qualified enough? You go to a doctor to find out what's wrong with you, right? Because they've studied about anatomy, physiology of the body.
Yeah, so many people are dying each year of cancer.
Yeah, but you wouldn't go to. No, that's a different issue. That's a different issue
Don't
because
necessarily, they haven't got all the answers. Just because someone's in a particular profession, they're indoctrinated to believe.
What? You got the T-Mobile one. You got the.
Science and that.
talk about
It's like what I'm saying. When you were 5 years of age, did you actually believe that you lived on that? Why?
if you think philosophically, that's a different issue. But if you think realistically, you live on Earth, don't you? You live on Earth.
I live on a flat plane,
so it's not Earth.
So yes, I live on Earth. Yes.
So that is approved, right?
In what way? But you associate that with water. What's it? You associate with that. That's your.
So you don't believe in your own existence as well, like
I'm a proof denier. I've been asking for proof.
Yeah, but we're standing on it, mate. What more proof do you want?
Like you, if you've got proof.
Well, we're here. We're here. My dad used to fly Concorde planes, and he's seen the curve in the earth. See that, mate?
But he didn't get any pictures. Oh, nice talking to you.
I thought, yeah, I didn't see a lot of stuff. So, as we know, the pyramids are in line with and then our solar system is moving through the galaxy at how many minutes, but how is it that the stars are the same night in after night?
Why do you get that? Why do you get that? And no one else can get that. That's
because they're scared to be different.
That's what they're going against. Right.
They don't want to walk down. It's a lonely path to think for yourself. You know what I mean? And people are gonna. And the worst thing is, yeah, if you see someone, it's going to mock you. Like they can't have an intelligent conversation, saying, "Alright, maybe yes, no, you're an idiot." It's not fair. It's not fair. That's how people are, man.
We've all got thick skin. We don't care. What if it gets back? Did you know that we were on the line?
It's my second time in. Yeah, I just saw you. I just thought you know. yeah, man, just had to
And have you've researched all about this?
yeah, from years ago. Yeah. I don't know what got me into it. Why did it get me into it?
Are you okay to be honest? Okay.
I don't know why. What was the thing that made me research?
I believe like
Yeah.
the whole narrative of of course we landed on the moon, of course 9/11 was okay, and I believe the government did have our best interests. Yeah, I kind of like don't believe in all that shit anymore.
I think it was like when I was young, I was into conspiracy theories a lot, and then I just wanted to just look and just make up my mind for myself. And this whole thing about calling something a conspiracy theory, I think that's a conspiracy theory in itself. Like just to make everything taboo, to not talk about it. Alright, so I just thought, you know what, let me search for my own self. You can see all the NASA pictures, they're not all the same. The satellite ones, that's all bullshit. There's not one satellite out there. You should be able to see them at least. There's so many, as they say. I've had a telescope once. I don't see nothing. You can see, I can even see Pluto with a telescope, or one of them planets, yeah, or Saturn, I think.
I don't believe if it was so far away that we would ever see these long distance planets. Not a chance. I don't believe that was. Whatever they are, they're much closer.
I caught that with the Nikon Coolpix P1000 Jupiter.
But where's the satellites?
Never seen one of them.
Come on, you should be able to see a satellite. I don't know, man. There's an agenda. So how many miles are supposed to be satellites? How far are they supposed to be?
They vary, aren't they? You know what I mean? Some are supposed to be the geostation is supposed to be like 1 million miles out. You know what I mean? It's nonsense. But if you've got 3,000 satellites and you're shooting like something like the moon on a regular basis, the likelihood is you're going to see some silhouettes shoot across there, aren't you? You know what I mean? You don't get nothing apart from bugs, bees, birds, and planes. You know what I mean? And probably never get no silhouette satellites.
I've got another theory as well that they lie, because a lot of the holy books like Bible and Quran and stuff, they say there's a firmament. But even like religious authorities, they don't really take notice of that. So what's the firmament? Something that you can't go past. And I've seen a video of someone shooting a rocket and it freaking hits it. Like, what does it hit? Like something solid and it can't get past it. And what's that guy's name? It's the NASA guy. His name. He's the founder of NASA. And on his gravestone, he's got a Bible verse. Yes, he's got a Bible verse saying something about the firmament.
Let the firmament show us its handiwork.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. Just those are my theories, but I don't claim to know everything. I know that I don't know, and I know that these lot don't know.
And it's okay to say we don't
Exactly.
know.
Exactly.
We know what we know.
I think science is a religion as well. You just believe in a book as well. Like it's a leap of faith. You gotta have faith. And it's just like when someone starts taking these equations, start putting them to use, like they don't make sense. Yeah, man. Guys, last one, yeah. You too, man. Rami. Last one, man.
Flat Earthers just passing through. That's it.
What's the reason behind you believing like?
Jumping a bit too quick.
No.
Find out is it real first. Go there. Forget about the why at the moment. It's too complicated.
I need to know why.
Just
You need to know
a
is
theory,
it
right? You
happening?
know your ball.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah, that's a good example.
We're on top of the ball, yeah, facing Irish facing that way. And in Australia, they got their feet facing us. Now, in theory, if I drill through that ball, do I come out with my feet first, or what?
In the ball, yeah.
So at what point would I? Because really, in theory, there should be a point.
Oh,
where
I get what you're
turn.
saying. Yeah.
So at what point,
Yeah.
do I come out feet first? You know what I mean?
When you get tired of being upside down, you turn over. That's what. I don't know.
You're saying if you were stood upright here and you went through it, you would go. Yes, you would go through it upright, and you would come out on your head.
Well, I'd have to come out feet first, wouldn't I?
Yeah, feet first, but your head would be the thing touching the ground. If the Earth was round, like a globe, yeah.
It's just
indoctrination. It's a bullshit theory. It's not founded in anything other than up in between your ears. Because the truth of it is, you couldn't do that anyway.
Would have gone 8 miles down it.
We haven't got what's down there. We've only gone as far as 8 miles.
Yeah, the Kola borehole in Russia, that's the deepest it's been, 8 miles. Nobody's it's been deeper than that.
So we haven't got a clue what's in there.
So that'd be like you scratching your arm and saying, yes, there's a heart in the middle of my chest.
The Marianas Trench is something like 7.5 miles deep. The Marianas Trench, right? It's like 7.5 miles deep. So that's as far as you can go. But there's a whole lot further to damn well go. And you're going to hit magma. And you're going to hit crushing gravity. You're going to hit things that you can't believe. Nah. Why do you say fuck NASA?
Because I think it's the biggest black hole budget since...
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you something about NASA. Think about this. There's hundreds of thousands of people employed willfully and getting paid good money to do that, right? And as long as if we don't learn how to live out there, we are confined to the fate of this motherfucker. This planet, when this motherfucking sun goes out, or when an asteroid comes and hits this asshole. No. Well, that's the truth. That's the truth.
To what proof is this?
What's the proof? What proof is? Ask the dinosaurs. They'll tell you. They were here for fucking a whole lot longer than we
That's
ever
a whole
think
new
about
story,
it.
that is.
Yeah, but they were here a lot longer than
I've
we
been
are.
searching for a dinosaur in my life. I've never actually seen one.
No, well, guess why not? Because a fucking asteroid came here and killed all them motherfuckers.
How do we know that they were, what's it, lived though? How do we know that?
What?
How do we know that dinosaurs lived?
Because we're finding fossils of them.
Fossils?
Yeah.
But not full big dinosaurs.
No, but we're certainly finding provable evidence that they were here. My daughter believes all this flat earth shit.
Okay.
And she's teaching her children.
You researched it yourself, though?
She's teaching her children that America never went to the moon.
Okay, well, yeah, we
Didn't. What a load of crap. Let me tell you something.
Have you analysed that?
Yeah. No, think about this. If the Russians thought for one fucking second that America never went to the moon, they'd be telling everybody in the world. And they know that we went there. You guys are full of crap. You're wasting your time.
We're just asking for proof, that's all. And
Show us the proof.
Seem to be falling flat on handing out that proof.
Yeah, but you guys are like a load of ostriches. You're sticking your head in the sand.
That's kind of what we think is the opposite going on. That's what.
You're pointing the finger, but you've got three fingers pointing back at you, fella.
No. Well, I'm going to tell you this. I'm an Albert Einstein lookalike, so I studied. No shit.
Hey.
I studied fucking.
You're a Freemason as well.
I studied fucking science.
You're a Freemason as well, are you?
Huh? No, I ain't no freaking Freemason.
Albert Einstein was.
I was an Albert Einstein lookalike, so I got a right to fucking understand what the things about
So
science.
can you help me about gravity then? Because the bending of time and space and gravity, they seem to be...
Yeah,
Cheeky
Good day, very good. The weather's fantastic. Good day. Good day. Good day.
Yes, I mean, you have researched some of this work.
Hey?
Albert Einstein.
Yes, sir. I studied a lot of his work because I found that over the years, working as a lookalike, people used to ask me hard questions, so I wanted some idea of how to answer them. And so I looked into
We find
it.
that a lot of this work, though, is it's not provable, it's not repeatable. You know, like it's all pseudoscience and
Yeah.
concepts, mathematics.
Well, to this day, they're still proving that things that Einstein said are true. They're only just developing the technology to be able to prove that what he was, the thing about the gravity waves, 2 years ago, they only proved that there were gravity waves.
Well, I don't believe that that's what that is, what they're saying.
Why not?
Because we've got more gravity here now. Why can't we prove it here? The gravity waves here now.
No.
Why do we have to go to trillions of miles away?
I think a gravity wave is actually a remnant from the Big Bang thing. I'm pretty sure
How
that's...
can I believe in such a thing like that when we ask for proof? They don't give us any proof. They just give us numbers, mathematical concepts.
I don't know. I'd rather go with
No, it's a tough one.
I'd rather go with
Go, taking one thing that you do know, you believe in.
I'd rather go with the science.
I did up until 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Now that I've been asking for proof, I've realised that there was no proof. It was the fact that you had to believe, and I had to.
I actually have a friend who is a qualified PhD in physics. And you know what he told me?
Go on.
He said that our dreams of flying anywhere outside of the solar system is a pipe dream. He said the vast distances to even the nearest star is like something like 8 light years. So if you can travel the speed of light, it's going to take you at least 8 years to get to that fucker, and that's the nearest one to us. So he said,
again, that's just a mathematical concept. Again.
Yeah, but what the guy said to me was, and I believe what he says. He said, we will probably never live to go anywhere outside of
that's good. They can do a lot of science based on
our
that,
own solar
because we'll never be able to prove it.
This is true, but I tell you what, fellas, the science, like.
Oh, we're pushing science. We're pushing it.
Yeah, but the science does not say things unless they can prove that what they say.
Well, that's where we're big to do, because that's what we're finding out now, is that the majority of science never got, 90% of all science never got peer reviewed. Never got peer reviewed. It just got stamped, rubber stamped, yeah, that's what science is, but never got peer reviewed. Even when the bit that did get peer reviewed, they never used the scientific method.
I'm sure I'd be happy to talk to you guys forever and a day, but I just walked all the way to the toilet, and if I don't find a seat, I'm gonna fall down.
You take care, brother.
Have a good day.
It was nice talking to you, Albert.
Albert, yeah.
Thank you.
Nice one, fella.
It's
funny.
So what do you think of that? That was a spit image of Mr. Einstein himself.
Non-Freemason.
Yeah, like how are we supposed to see them distances?
I know.
Can't believe I met Albert Einstein. Oh, brilliant.
That was funny.
North in the centre. When the sun's at the what are they?
Flat Earth group to Facebook. There are flat Earth members all around the world. I think sound must travel in a vacuum. I thought there's a website in
For example, Tesla was transporting Londra. Transporting example in the
North in the centre, north in the centre. When the sun's in the north, it's their summer.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to
It's
explain.
the south winter.
He's asking why you think it's flat. Because of the flight. You never find the direct flights. For example, why if you look at the ball Earth, why you should fly from China to USA 12 hours if it's next? Does it make sense? Does it make sense? It's here. Yeah, so why you have to fly from China to USA 13 hours?
They always go north and come back there.
Yeah, because doesn't make sense. Yes, on the flat Earth you have to go a little bit far away. That's why.
There was an emergency landing with a lady who gave birth to a baby.
That's the Кина спорит Америка, все 30 спорят, а я с Африкой
Ancient civilizations always talk ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
That's a good one to go on.
Yeah.
Earth is a swimming ball, let it do that.
If you see the Marines, the boat they go in the Mariner, they say we never had a map which says the Earth is quite.
They use the flat Earth map and put it on a ball.
Yeah.
They use the flat Earth map and put it on a ball.
sides and black and everything.
71% of the earth is water.
Sorry guys, I need a drink. I'm bursting. So.
If I would just expect to see like blur if I wouldn't gain anything from that.
So just to let you know, Roxanne's going live over there now, just as we speak. So if you want a different perspective, listen to the lovely Roxanne. She's just going live in 2 minutes.
No landing anymore? No. So no landing? No. This is another line.
Think about it. Have you seen those time lapses? It's going to be well below the curve of the earth. Say for argument's sake, listen, I'm exaggerating here. I'm standing here with a caveat, right? I'm taking a photograph over there. How do I take a photograph around there? It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. It can't make any sense. Even a land with light refraction. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. They got to come out and tell us why it can happen, and all they do is come out with mumbo jumbo and pseudoscience. It's complete rubbish. I know it's a lot to take in, love. It's a lot to take in. I mean, you know something? Sometimes. That is how water always stays level and finds its level. No matter
In any direction, which one makes more sense? That goes up north back south on a ball, or a flat earth. Straight, what makes more sense? That one, doesn't it? That makes more sense.
Oh, you're welcome, guys. Me hand and me thumb is killing me holding this bloody thing, but you're all welcome.
That's our one. Yeah, the best one we've got at the moment. Yeah.
Where does it get back?
Then you're heading south.
Then you have to go around and end up in the south.
No one's ever circumnavigated from the North Pole to the South Pole.
It's a materialistic world. It's a materialistic world, isn't it? It's like it's a dog eat dog world, isn't it? It's a capitalist world. Globalism. Globalism means like, oh, I'm going to make loads of money. Who cares? Like, I'll work over people.
The northern flights, they don't have a problem. But the southern flights, talking, and come back south. The northern flights don't have much of a problem. The southern flights,
it's like non-stop. It's like I take a break and it's a little bit more religious.
If you want to play,
yeah, it was talking about the Bible basically. You know what? How can you trust anything? I heard the Facebook. Yeah. It's well, you know what? How can you trust it? You know what? And why do you take it literally? That sort of thing. You know? I actually changed a viewpoint of one guy who he didn't have any strong views, but he's now going to go off and do some research. You know? Yes, but I don't know. I don't actually remember him starting the film, so I don't know what he got. Yeah, I'm going to catch it because I don't know what he's captured.
Where are you live? Where are you live?
What about Antarctica?
What about Antarctica?
Yeah, what is it?
Right, Jason of the Discovery family. I mean, basically, it's Earth is contained somewhere. There's shorelines, there's cliffs, there's all sorts all around us in every direction. South Antarctica is in every direction.
So Antarctica is everywhere.
It's everywhere. North is in the centre. So yeah, JC.
По-любому и ротунд. Ярши и дреда и ротунд по-любому.
И черк.
Райдюниш тикис.
Хуя, ne? Sład wiązać.
Я 60 стараюсь. Один космос, эти два слова, вот я и ротунд. Следующий Сикачурой из Баргаса.
Various mountains on various
Сериалы.
Yes, I've not actually talked very much about flat earth. I've been talking about other things. Yeah, we're having to talk about languages and talk about Bibles and history. It's like,
Russian. Russian from Moldova.
But you live over here?
Yeah. I found some also watching some information about this theory of flat Earth, and it's quite interesting.
Would you label yourself as flat earther yourself, or
somewhat? Sorry.
Would you label yourself as a flat earther or a globe denier, or on the fence and just researching?
Just researching.
You're researching.
Yeah, just.
Okay, but you're finding that there's a few things that don't make sense.
Yeah.
Either way.
There's a lot of things that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
And not only in the flat Earth, it's in all the science there's many gaps.
Yes.
And history as well, there's many gaps.
Yeah.
And political things, a lot of gaps as well. So this makes us raise up a question: why? What's going on? What happened?
Right. So this is where it all starts. How long have you been researching?
It's a few years.
Well, okay. All right. I would have thought a few years heavy research. I would have thought you'd be labelling yourself as a flat earther or globe denier.
What I was researching, I was looking at the information other people talking about.
Okay.
And then I was trying to figure out and to see if this is true, obviously.
Right.
For example, if you look when the boat is going on the sea.
Yeah.
And if you have a very good camera, which you can zoom it,
yeah,
you find the boat, it doesn't go down, which
that's
it
right.
should on the...
It's going out of our perspective.
Yeah.
So things what we were taught as kids are now being kind of, well, in our sense, in our day, debunked what we were taught.
Yeah.
You know, because I mean that's a clear example that clearly wasn't true. You know, and we are seeing land. What about land that we shouldn't see? Have you looked into a lot of land that we shouldn't see? Too far away, should be over the curvature?
You mean Antarctica?
So not Antarctica, but like just our observations. Let's say you go from one coastline to see another coastline, and you can see land that you shouldn't be able to see.
Oh yeah, yes. Well, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's kind of one of my biggest proofs, because if the maths is right, what they present us, then their argument's really flawed.
Yeah.
There's lots of land there.
I'm curious how the government looks at all these conspiracy things.
I think we're led down the garden path. She's got it. I think we're getting hit with a lot of misinformation. Led down the I think we're all focusing on the trivial parts when we should be focused on, hey, look, I'm happy to say that we've been lied to. I don't believe in my government telling me the truth. I think that they don't have my best interests. I know that there's anomalies about the Earth that don't make sense. You know, like, and for me, one, I mean, okay, we've got the water thing. You know, like water always finds its level, it stays flat. I get that, I understand that, but it's still not good enough for me. I wanted a little bit more. To see land that I know that should be over the curvature, just to see land, that's good enough for me to say, I want to know who's telling me the lies. You're right. I mean, like, who is that? You know, like, is it the government? Is it the I don't know, the elites of some sort? Who that is, I really don't know. Is it the Freemasons? Is it the Jesuits?
It might be just a human mistakes.
And I mean, is there an agenda behind it all to keep us in the dark, or have we been following a science that was just wrong? And then we kind of built upon that.
It's good, yeah, to rebuild it again.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of think, my gut feeling says that the governments are there to deceive us.
Yeah.
That's my gut feeling.
But also, I was following, you know, the rivers.
Okay.
Some of the rivers, they're going on down. If you look at the original map, let's say.
Okay, but they're flowing up.
The usual map. Some of them, they flow down, but some of them, they flow up.
They flow up.
So,
that's it.
Like, why?
Well, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it does not make sense.
Okay, yeah. We were talking about things like the Coriolis. You know, like you know about the Coriolis effect. You know, like that. If a helicopter now just rises and stays there, or if the Earth's spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, well, I mean, it should move, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, but it doesn't. So they turn around and say that it's because the atmosphere is glued to Earth. Okay, so if that's the case, why have we got wind?
Yeah,
what the hell is wind? What is wind? I mean, you're just saying that the atmosphere is glued to Earth, and yet the wind comes from every conceivable direction. Every direction.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it doesn't make sense. You know, like, I don't believe in the Coriolis. I believe that the Coriolis is a real thing. I believe that it works on roundabouts. I don't think it works in our reality, as in, you know, like weather systems, hurricanes and cyclones and that. I don't believe it can. I think it's something more, something to do with electromagnetic something.
Yeah.
I forget what the word is. But it's something more. Snipers' rifles, we're told that they bend due to the Coriolis effect. That's nothing more than the Magnus effect. So you look up the Magnus effect.
Yeah, actually.
That's what. So you know what the Magnus effect is? Well, the spiral inside the rifle that creates a Magnus effect.
That's true.
Bend it like Beckham. That's all that is. It's not to do with Coriolis. So we've been led up this garden path, you know, like of. It's just a barrage of lies, and it's them lies that make me want to question a little bit more, and then there's more lies and more lies to be uncovered. You know, I'm proud to call myself a flat earther. I'm 100% convinced that the Earth is flat. 100%. You know, like, is that a belief? Is that a knowing?
No, I mean, you know, I think also, for example, the government or whoever it is, political things, they should, if this country is a liberalism, if it's a democracy, they should accept everyone's around the opinion.
Okay.
But they don't.
No, that's right.
So where is the liberalism and democracy?
Yeah. That's right.
Not.
We should be able.
They just call it.
They should give us a bag full of money and say, look, you lot, you are a certain, you're a group of the world that will give you a bag full of money, and you can go and do your own research. We'll open the gates. You can go to Antarctica and you can explore this for yourself.
Antarctica is not allowed anyone to go there.
No, that's right.
You need to have a special permission for going there.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's some forces they protect it.
So that's control now. Now we're getting back to the governments. I don't have enough money in my pocket to hire a plane, put some guns on it or something if I need it, and fly off to Antarctica and protect myself. I don't have that money because now the government controls me.
Yeah.
You know, like, I have a certain amount of funds to live each day, not to make these experiments. I think that's what. When people ask me why, you know, I think a lot of the thing is governments want to control us. That's the biggest reason why. But you need.
Okay, well, what do you think? What should we do, or what should be the action?
What next? This. Just awareness. Let's get the conversation started. Let's just talk. That's got to be the first step. You know, like the next step is, hang on, we need to be all acknowledged here that there's a group of people here that believe that they live in a different world than others.
But they control the.
See this.
Why do you think it's a vote?
You got issues, man.
Why do you think it's a vote?
Because
sorry.
Why do you think it's a vote?
I didn't know that.
I said, why do you think we live in a vote? What is it? Okay. Why do you think we live in a vote?
But if it changes him, so why? Why do you believe that? Why is it we believe in all of this when we had no proof? And that was easy for us. That was okay. We just believe. So.
Because if you don't let that come back. Look, my friend. Study science. Yeah, which school?
So this is a demonstration of my knowledge is more than your knowledge.
No.
Credibility.
You're gonna rearrange it. Sorry?
Trying to control, yeah. So all the media sources, they're controlled by a group of people. Is right.
What they say about it was like 4 corporations.
Yeah. So in this case, if someone controls these 4 groups or 4 corporations, it gets control for all over the world. So it's gonna be difficult to show to the people the other way of, because we used to believe in what it says on TV. This has been built for years, and suddenly this is what happening. If we see it on TV, we accept it as a truth, which we should not.
Yeah.
But
well, that's the way we're indoctrinated. We grow up to believe that everything on TV is the truth. You know, we're just speaking to a guy
so
there.
the problem is not just in one thing on the government. There's a huge chain of problems because it's been caused one by one.
Yeah.
You know.
But the thing is, the people in the media are just a lot of them, I think, that are directed just by their educations, like mine and yours, and like they believe in something that, you know, like, so they're following a biased view. We're just going to show you this biased view of what if what our government's telling us to show.
Yeah.
And this is our biased view of where we live. You know, like, so they're just going to keep following on like that. And we're saying, we're waving and saying, look, no, you've got to see what's it here, our side of the story. You know, like, and that's the bit that they're not doing as much. They are now. So when you say that's the first thing, it's awareness. It has to be awareness first. Yeah, let's get the story started. That's what this is. Yeah, we're back here 1 year today. You know, like we started this. The conversation of Flat Earth here in Speaker's Corner a year ago, and then every month we come here every month and do it again. Keep that conversation going. This is what it's all about. It's just awareness. It's got to be the first step. The next step, yeah, your guess is good as mine. What's the next step? You know. You've had a hard time with this, haven't you? You've had a hard time with this as well, have you?
No, but what you didn't say about Antarctica. What's about it? What's your point of view? What's your idea about it?
Okay, well the things that I learnt about, and I'm going to tell you what I've learnt so far. Okay, I don't know if you learnt. You watched the Admiral. E. Bird interview?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you can go online and. In Admiral, okay, we're not talking about a corporal or a captain or what, we're talking about an Admiral, okay? So, big shot in America. He went, to the South Pole, and in this, TV interview, black and white, in the 50s, he says on national TV, American, and he says, like, he got to the South Pole, and beyond the South Pole, there's more land, an abundance of land that's further on, okay?
So, according to your point of view, after Antarctica there is something more.
I'm just showing you what he said, okay? So I've never been there, so you know, like, so don't put me on the spot for that, because you know, like, I'm just a buddy. Astro. Oh yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's good.
Sorry, I've left down there. Molding.
Well, this is Astral, everyone.
Hello.
All right. Yeah. So what I'm saying is that. He supposedly went on, found more land, okay? And then.
But to which side of Antarctica he went?
Say this again.
Which side of Antarctica he went?
Antarctica. Which side of?
You said that he went to south, right?
Yeah, well, he went.
But
he
which
went
side?
It
of south?
is. It is.
He went to this or that
It is
one?
documented, and you can check that
He
out for
went down
yourself.
here. He went down here.
Was it there? Was it?
Yeah, yeah. Because you've got Maud Island and Queen, whatever it's called, you know, from all these expeditions, Amundsen, and then you've got Rockefeller Mountain at its height of 666. That's weird. But yeah, that's where they went in. But you look around
What
the
about
outside
what
there.
about the sides?
Captain Cook,
Yeah.
he went hundreds of years ago. He sailed for almost 3 years, I believe it was, 60,000 miles. Understand this: if you're living on a ball, and the circumference, the fattest part of it, is 25,000 or 24,901 miles supposedly.
No, you got that right.
How can you get to the bottom? It's got obviously it's got to diminish, hasn't it?
Maybe when wind or he confused
So,
the direction, it's very easy to
they've said-
lose the way. Or the waves.
If you've got a wall on your side here and you keep walking on that wall and it's on your right hand side, what you're going to do? You're going around in a circle eventually, aren't you? You'll get back to where you
So
were.
he was keeping attraction on the side.
Well, he tried to find an island inlet, and he was looking for this for 3 years. They never found it. So 3 years, and it's 60,000 miles they've sailed.
So you mean that he went from here, right? He went here.
3 years, around 3 years, around, yeah, 3 years. He never found a way in, yeah. And what I'm saying is this: imagine the bottom of a ball. It has to be smaller. This is much bigger than what we're told, isn't it? If you understand, it's supposed to be on a little.
Yeah.
It can't be more than
Like
what,
less than
12,000 miles. 12, is it?
Yeah, it could be.
About.
And what's beyond it?
But we don't know. No one's allowed to go there.
The
That's
thing
the
is,
thing.
the thing is, all this area is protected by some forces.
It's the United Nations. They signed an agreement in 1958. 52 countries signed the agreement to say you're not allowed to go there anymore. There is. You can look it up online and read all about it.
So nobody's allowed to go to
Antarctica. No. You can go, but you're going to be like, hey, come with me, come with me.
Yeah.
Stay here. Hey, where you going?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's true. Where are you guys
And
from?
even from Moldova.
Moldova.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even the flights around there is forbidden as well.
Yeah.
Flying around there.
Here's something that really tipped me into thinking, well, it's got to be flat. When you look at flight routes, there was a flight.
We were
once-
just talking about
Yeah,
it.
well,
I
the
was
woman who was
explaining-
pregnant and they stopped in Alaska. It's like, why would you go up and then down to Las Vegas, Los Angeles? But when you look on a flat map, it's more or less a straight line. More or less a straight line, and it's understandable.
And this, if you look at this, then it makes sense why.
Yeah.
What they did stop in the Antarctica.
I would say this: we have north, and that's all we have. East and west, it's either or, and south is just further away from north. We only got north. That's where the magnetic pole is. Everything else, well, it's away from north, isn't it? How old are you? Can I ask?
25.
25. Are you into all this? You're flat.
I mean, yeah.
Or
I'm
you don't know
following-
yet?
It's nothing to do with it. I'm quite open-minded to,
Yeah.
to research to see what's going on, what's the truth. But finally,
When I look at the sky and I look at the clouds, it doesn't matter where you are. Get up high, look at the sky, and you'll see it's stacking. It's not curving. They're only stacking.
when you're flying above
That's what you see.
the skies,
Yeah.
above the clouds, when you're flying, you see it's flat, it's long, flat.
True.
You don't. Someone say no, but I can see it going down. But this is the vision. It's just how do you say
Perception.
the perception of the eye, like when you
Yeah, that's
see.
true.
And this is the flying map.
That's the flights, yeah. Yeah, that's the flights.
Yeah. Because I was
This is that not the map that's actually on the back wall of yeah, that's on the back of it.
That's what all the aeroplanes used to fly to. For the aid of ground-based systems.
There is some expedition, but there is only 4 bases: France, Russia, USA, and Great Britain, I guess.
Okay.
I think now it's
No America.
USA, America.
Okay.
It's like, as I know, 4 or 5 countries with expeditions there. I mean, they allowed to have, and they have like a
Nobody else?
base there. Nobody else.
Well, I don't know. I think you could look into it because we always see when we're looking at anything to do with the South Pole, they have all these flags, don't they? Like Bunting, what's he called? Kerry, the politician from America. He went a few years ago. The Pope went down a few years ago. One of the royals' children went down a few years ago. You know, like Obama. I think did Obama go?
And Putin went.
Yeah. It's like and the Pope.
So what about all these expeditions to west to go to Antarctica? Look, go to Antarctica.
Expeditions, and they kind of go. See, we're saying it's a ball. I mean, like, can we actually go from one latitude and straight across to the other latitude? Okay?
Yeah.
That's what we would like to see. Okay, but they don't. They kind of go to the supposed South Pole, and then they do a left or a right turn. They don't carry on. No one else has ever done that.
Yeah. There was all the expeditions went for Antarctica. They've been controlled by.
Yeah.
They've been
without a
controlled.
doubt. That last one was ridiculous. That was a full 90-degree turn off. You know, he gets to the pole supposedly, and he just did was it a left turn. How can you say that you've crossed? That's nonsense.
So you mean that Antarctica is like a wall?
Yeah, it's like a wall.
Well, I mean, like, you know how a beach works, okay?
Yeah.
So you've been to some beaches and they have a shoreline.
Yeah.
You've been to some beaches and they've got big cliffs. They've got a wall, okay? So we're not saying there's a wall right there, but we do know water has to be contained. We'll agree on that, yeah? So water has to be contained.
The water?
Water.
Yeah.
I would say that, you know, like when they've got a bottle, that water is contained.
Oh yeah.
Okay? It lies level and flat.
Yeah.
In a large one in a lake, it will lie level and flat.
Okay.
But on the oceans or in the circular part of the plane all around the world, they lie level and flat. Okay, so it has to be contained. So whether it be a shoreline or this big 200-foot cliff, yeah, both. Why not?
It's like a wall.
But it has to, but it's contained.
Doesn't make sense, but
It makes a lot of sense. What doesn't make sense is that being on a ball, all up 73% water, all being on a ball when the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles per hour. Doesn't make sense because if this gravity, the supposed gravity that's holding all that water together, I mean, I would say that it's got to fight that centrifugal force. Then it's got to pull. It's got to be a pretty damn good force, you know. Like it's got to pull all that.
Well,
they give you these words to say, but it's very minute force, you know, like, but it's still holding 72% of all the.
So you mean that like if we would be on a ball, so we would be here and we'd be turning around
1,000 miles per hour it spins at the equator. Where we are here, it's probably about 700 miles or something.
But like when you're on the bus and you have the same speed as the bus, it's hell.
Okay, so we're talking about inertia and kind of relativity, you know, like inside.
We're the same.
But we're not inside a closed object, so to speak, are we? We're here.
Okay, go on the top of the bus.
We have an
Move
atmosphere.
the same speed of the bus.
But we have an atmosphere.
You won't fly.
We're in the atmosphere, though. We're not in this enclosed space of a bus. We have this atmosphere.
And what?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, like.
No, we were talking about the speed.
About the ball.
We're talking about the speed. So the person's running. The person is.
You're trying to put all of this inside inside a bus.
That's an example.
I know.
Just an example. A
That's
comparison.
I suppose. Because if I stand on the roof of the bus and we're going at the same speed, will the same effect happen if I jump up?
You'll have the same speed.
Well, you think I'd land down the same spot if I'm on the roof of the bus?
Yeah, if you'll jump,
I'll jump.
You'll land down. You'll have the same speed.
I don't think so.
So like you're on the bus is moving like.
So all the wind, all the apparent wind that's hit me and all that. You don't think I'd just end up right in the back?
Well, if the wind will be quiet stuff, yeah. But if, for example, if you will be in atmosphere, the wind will carry you also.
Okay. So I accept that inside the bus, that if I jump up, I'll just land straight back
because
down
there's no
on the
wind.
spot. Okay. Well, isn't that what would cause me to go from one end to the other? If I'm on the outside and I jump up, it's going to be the apparent wind that's created of the bus travelling.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's going to push me back, isn't it?
No, look.
I'm not being pushed back. I'm in the same spot.
No. The initial, like the idea that you said that we are, if we would be on the globe,
okay,
we would be spin with what speed?
Okay, it's 1,000 and something miles
At the
per
pole,
hour.
like at the equator.
At the equator.
1,000
miles an hour.
1,000 miles an hour, and
okay, and that's counteracting all of that centrifugal force.
Okay.
You know, like like water being spun out into whatever. Okay, so we've got this gravity that's holding all of this force at 1,000 miles per hour. Okay, so it's holding all this force at 1,000 miles per hour. But that same force is pulling at 0 miles per hour at the top. We should be like glued to the floor walking around on top of it, at north. Our weight difference should be so much. 1,000 miles per hour, holding all that, but centrifugal force against 0, that should be significant difference. But if I go in an aeroplane and I'm walking around on the equator of the aeroplane, and then I get out and I fly and go all the way to north and we land there, I should notice the difference. 1,000 mile an hour difference. I don't feel it.
no, it's different things.
So what you got to say to that then?
Sorry?
So what you got to say to that?
So you're telling that if we would be on the Earth at the pole, we'd be turning around 1,000 miles an hour.
Well,
and the north?
On north it would be 0. So
That's 0.
Yeah.
If it's globe.
If it's globe.
And if it's
I
like
stood
this,
right there.
and if it's like this,
then it's on this. No, then we're immovable, stationary, we're still. I mean, we only have to look at the sky, the stars and all that. We only need to see that Polaris is still in the same spot years after years after years, since astronomy began. Orion's Belt, Pyramids of Giza, perfectly aligned.
Okay.
Since astronomy began, since we've ever recorded it. If we're doing this 1,000 miles per hour and we're travelling at 500,000 miles an hour around the sun, and then we're 67,000 miles an hour around the sun, and then the sun and our Earth and our solar system travelling at 500,000 miles an hour in another different directions. The sky should be up all over the place. The sky should be all over the place. And yet we're getting the same things year after year after year. We can record it. We know what stars and what planets are going to be in the sky at night. It makes no sense.
What do you think?
It's worth just researching more. If only to prove the crazy man in the street that I don't know what he's talking about. It's worth researching more.
It's worth researching more, definitely. But the speed. My concern was about the speed, okay? So you are turning around and you don't feel the speed, right? And my example was about the bus. That since you are traveling with the bus, together with the bus, you don't feel the speed.
Okay, but we're not in the bus. I know it's an example, but we're still not kind of like enclosed in the way that they're saying. Because our atmosphere is in that bus. It's with us. With all the winds and all the different directions, and I don't know. There's probably a hurricane 1,000
put it
miles
this
away.
way: if there was a one big swimming pool and the water is just very still, if the Earth is spinning so fast, don't you think that the water would be?
Yeah.
When you see the sea really still in the morning,
But when you're in the bus, look, when you're on the bus, you don't feel the speed of the bus. Because you're moving together.
No, you do better than that. You can see the speed of the bus, because as you're going along, you can see you're passing from. My bus is passing. I can see. I've just passed you, so I can see.
But you don't see. But the seat.
we don't see
but
that.
the seat which is nearby you don't see how it moves because it moves the same speed as you, don't you?
No, but when you look at the bus, you can see you're moving.
So we're also like in a bus right now. We don't see how it
says
moves.
you can't, when you're in the bus,
because
you
we're
can't
moving
feel that
together.
you're moving.
Yeah, that's right, but as you said, when you look out the window, we can see people and trees in the distance, and we see
But
parallax.
the fact is that we don't have a window and to see what's beyond. If we take the example of the Earth.
Yeah. But that's our window there, isn't it, above us?
When it slows down,
and we see the parallax of these stars crossing each other. But they're still there night after night. But remember all these tremendous speeds in all different directions. That's the same sky.
Maybe because of location, how the Earth is turning. And it's going the same way.
Then stars are doing their own fantastic speeds in their solar systems. Fantastic speeds in all manner of directions. But it's still the same.
And if the bus, as this gentleman correctly said, he slows down, you go like this.
Yeah, here.
Well, if
You
the Earth
feel
will stop,
it.
if the Earth will stop moving, we'll also fly also.
No, it's like this, right? You're standing on a bus.
Exactly.
The bus is driving, not like you're hanging on a strap on a train or a subway or whatever. When that train sets off, what happens is you go back, don't you? And when the train slows down, you go forward.
But the Earth is not moving. Earth is not accelerating and not stopping. It's moving the same constant speed, the same when you're in the bus. When it's
What
moving,
he's saying, because the Earth is spinning,
real.
it's not stopping, so that's why.
But if that's real, what you're saying, okay, then because Earth does an elliptical, what's it move? It goes
Yeah.
between 91 million and 93 million. How is it catching up with itself all the time? It's 91 at its closest point and 93 million. So it's going in a direction. So once it's doing 91 at its closest point here, then Earth is still going.
we're talking about speed
So
turning around its own axis, or the speed that is turning around the sun.
That's right. So how's it catching up with it? The sun's still moving at 67 million.
It has to do with blood pressure and health conditions.
The sun,
Yeah.
gravity.
So it has to be
Another topic that I like is
and
my.
then slow down again, and then speed up again, and then slow down.
Yeah.
Because it's in this,
I knew that you'll smile. This is why I said the gravity.
elliptical orbit. It's in this
No,
elliptical
you see,
orbit.
but you're combining two topics in one. You're combining the topic the sun is moving, the Earth moving around the sun, and the Earth turning around itself, around its own axis.
Yeah.
Okay,
You see?
but that's what
You're jumping from one topic to another one, which creates a bit of
it
confusion.
is the same topic. It is the same topic. As I said, I mean, like, we're talking about what we see in the sky. And I mean, you're on the bus, yeah? Okay, and what we see in the sky, things are all moving together, aren't they? Okay? They're moving together. Just like inside the bus, things are moving together. That's what you just said.
Like in the like in the bus,
Okay.
you, the chair, the bar, move at the same
everything
speed.
goes.
This is why we don't see how it moves. This is why we don't see how the trees move, because we're moving the
The
same.
only thing that we can tell is if we are moving at different speeds, like what you just said, like we'd be looking out the window, okay? That's our window. So we have to, so what they're saying is that this is our bus here now,
Yeah.
we're inside our bus, but that's our window.
Okay.
So we can check on whether or not we are going faster or slowing down. And as I said, if these stars were perfectly aligned, year after year after year, and they're in the same place, and then this sun is going at a particular speed, this Earth is still going, it's still got to.
But how do you know that? But yeah, cool, man. Thank you. But how do you? But why are you that sure that the stars are also not moving?
Okay, but because they're in the same place year after year, and sailors can still navigate.
No, just one example.
Okay.
If you think, can I just say?
No. So this object is moving, right? But I have an object in my hands.
Okay.
It's moving.
The Earth is moving like this.
Look.
it's going round the sun.
No. This one is moving.
Yeah.
This one also moving.
Okay.
Same place. 1,000 years. Same place. Isn't? Star. A star, for example. Let's suppose.
This is the Earth.
Let's.
The star's here.
Isn't the same?
But the star is here.
What?
Just let me stop you immediately. Earth isn't moving. The stars are, so that's a wrong little
Both of them are moving.
analogy. Sorry.
The Earth is moving.
The Earth is not moving. We've never detected any movement. It's all theoretical. Absolute Aries failure. Everything is nothing has succeeded in detecting a motion of the Earth ever.
How do you think so?
You could be the first person if you believe that. There, seriously.
No.
Maybe he's right.
I guarantee you, it's never been proven. The Earth has never been detected any motion.
Any motion.
Still, no
Still.
motion.
Oh. According to you.
So that's good. That's something for you to research.
Sir?
That's something for you to research.
For everybody.
You look up Polaris and put your camera on Polaris and then see how much Polaris moves.
Some Morley, Sagnac experiment.
Why haven't we got a list of scientists
That pendulum as well.
to agree with the flat Earth theory? We need a lot of scientists to say we agree. There's none.
We are, hang on a second, I just do what you just said.
Really cool.
So nice talking to you.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting.
Agree on the same thing.
See you guys.
Yeah, but scientists.
We're not moving.
Why haven't we got good scientists?
We're all scientists.
No, qualified scientists.
You've seen you for ages.
So
doing? You been okay? I know. Been hibernating. Really good, yeah, really good.
Common sense, isn't it?
Working hard, playing hard.
Common sense.
Not spinning, of course.
Well, Saturday nights
Grounding.
maybe.
Oh, Saturday nights. Completely out of space.
All right, brilliant.
So you're preparing for the tour?
For the tour, slowly. I'm more of a, let's get it all done in the last minute.
yeah. Well, you work better under pressure.
I think what it is, I think some people like to plan things and meticulous at doing stuff like that.
Nothing ever goes to plan, does it?
I'm more of, you know what, if I want to go to Istanbul tomorrow, well, I'll just get in the car and I'll go to Istanbul tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Just do it. Get on with it.
Yeah.
So I've got things that are planned, but most of it will be on the fly.
Okay. This is it, spontaneous.
Yeah, just get on with it.
Brilliant.
And then we'll have all the problems as they are. That's, it is the 20th, sorry, the 30th.
Wow. Soon come around, won't it? Got good wheels?
Not a lot, not an awful lot. So good wheels or
wheels?
Wheels. I say good wheels, as in, how much support and all that. You know what? Guys, just to let you know, and we've missed the opportunity, but our last van that we used just went on eBay and I'm not sure what it fetched, but it just got sold on eBay. I think around about 2 o'clock. It's not 2 o'clock yet, is it?
It's gone 2.
It's gone 2. So it was about 2 o'clock, I think it was. So that was the last van. I've just seen it today, and it goes on sale. So it's been on sale all week on eBay, and it finishes today. And I was so tempted. Do we put money into that and buy that, or because we had a lot of problems with it?
That's right.
But it kind of, I've got sentimental value for that one. Yeah. So.
But time for a change.
I think so. We need something. So who are you with today?
I'm with my friend Jamie from Wales. Marilyn is with.
Oh, Marilyn's here. I'll see. Yeah. All right. I've spoken to Astrid. I didn't realise it was. I was going to say to Marilyn. Good talk to you, everybody. All right, there you go.
Hello, Jason.
Hello. All right. How's things?
Yeah, I know they're
That's him.
So how are you? You okay?
Yes, just getting me van. Conversion.
Do you know something?
Via Ashford Street. Do the van for the Globe Euro tour.
All right. You're going to be trying to tag along a bit.
Yeah, there's room for 2.
Oh, right, okay.
A big tent for 10.
Yeah.
If you need it.
Yeah. Oh, what's it?
Marilyn, I'm going with Jamie and...
I don't think it's as you've been told. Yeah, I am. Well, I had to be careful when I said that because... Sorry? Well, you also know that Bush sold the metal that made the rails that go to our...
Come with you then.
You can Google that. Prescott Bush is... Yeah, well,
So where have
Prescott Bush is like...
you don't live in London, do you?
No, I live in Denmark.
You haven't come just for this, have you?
I'm here to do convert a van.
All right.
Van conversion.
All right, very good.
I went up a few weeks ago to see Martin Kenny.
Yeah.
I fitted he had a horse box.
Okay.
I made that into a
I've seen
motorhome.
it. Oh,
have you seen it?
Yeah, of course I have. Yeah, it looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And he's still in there now, is he?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I spoke to him at Flat Earth meet up a few weeks back, or a month ago or so.
So Marilyn's asking, who do I know who's a carpenter who can make what I want?
Yeah.
So, and then she found me. And here I am.
Is he doing a good job?
I'm starting tomorrow, but I've been...
And what van is it? What's it on?
Got a little partner.
All right.
A little partner.
All right.
I prefer something bigger.
I was going to say, but it's got room for potential to do something.
Oh yeah, for sure, yeah. You got a bed in there.
Yeah. All right. Well, before I just she's after 2 beds.
Huh?
2 beds, isn't it?
Nah, 1
1 bed, is it?
It's a small back, yeah, but it's not going to be that big because it's a small van.
Yeah.
But But yeah, it'll be like a little double bed in the back, that wide,
Right,
and 180 long or whatever.
right.
Fold into a bench, storage underneath. That's my idea.
Yeah.
I'll see when I start building it, you know what I mean?
So you're not going to go full-time off-grid in your van. You're going to be an off-gridder, you know, with your own solar panel, your own electric, your own water, and live in it full-time. Like,
Not that one, no. Because I want,
well, you like that idea,
I want,
then?
yeah, I do like that idea because I've been connected to a lot of YouTubers.
Yeah.
But he's doing the first module, the small one, so that I can rent it out.
Okay.
It's up there.
You know, for the people that are on a budget.
Yes.
You know, there's room in the market. Everyone's going overboard with prices.
So you're going to rent them out rather than sell them? You're going to rent them out?
Rent or sell. He's going to do the first one, then we're going to get a bigger one, a stand-up one.
There's some great sites to rent them out on, and like yes, there's another one.
Quirky campers.
Right, okay, yeah. Well, I'm just trying to think the one we got ours from.
So, I mean, I was just rolling it over. If he does it, well, he will do it before August. He's got to, because I need to get going with it. If there's room for it for the flat earthers that want to rent it out on the Euro tour, they can. And I'll supply the big tent.
All right, okay. Oh, right, sounds brilliant.
I want him to keep the seats in, but he wants to take them out, so, but it can be.
I think because I'm still not sure whether we're buying ours or renting them. But whatever we do, it's to be flat smack complete with all our stickers and things, and you know, like, to be, you know, like, yeah. I've been doing a lot of research on it myself. Sorry guys, keep putting my hands in the front, you know, like.
There was a couple of them to do like a marble thing. I think yourself like an old-fashioned like, get on the front, there's no design you're taking off. When you've levelled out at 30,000 feet or 35,000 feet, I said, after about
Sorry guys, it's really windy here.
well, yeah, like, because it's continental.
If you went and did a degree in, I don't know, astrophysics or whatever, you'd have to sign some paper in the dark room, give some blood, and sign your name over the Illuminati, and not be able to talk about this.
That's why they have 33 degrees of Freemasonry too.
That's where it gets
like
weird.
us. Why is he weird about that?
Because you don't. Why don't you go and do it then? And then you know, take a risk.
Because you can't just become a Freemason. You have
No,
to be
but why
invited.
don't you go and do a degree in physics, astrophysics, and then write a paper?
I'm 47 years old now.
It must be what, 4 or 5 years?
Yeah, like I said, I've got a full-time job. And,
Yeah, but if you really believe this, you could be saving humanity. You could get in there and do something. Bring down the
I'm not going to free so many people from
all I'm going to do is learn how to take or communicate to wherever in the second.
It's mad.
There's something to say. I'm not the best at like.
Well, yeah, but go and do a physics degree and really get involved and challenge these people. Yeah, you do, I think, because this is nonsense.
Do you know what the Dunning-Kruger effect is?
I'm making exams. I'm making physics You're asking me about the science of it.
Okay, there has to be a calculation, a mathematical and if there is, why can I send that out?
Sorry,
there are.
Sorry, look, give you an example. The
the sun and the moon are constantly above the planet. Is that right? How comes you can't see the sun? How do you get night and day? Like, wouldn't I be able to see the sun if I'm in a high enough in the sky?
As a physicist.
Sorry?
Yeah. You've been studying global model or whatever.
So if I went up high enough in the sky, I should be able to see the sun from anywhere. Is that right? I don't know. If I went up high enough in the sky, I should be able to see the sun from anywhere.
No measurable curvature over large bodies of water.
There's this one.
So the sun disappears.
I watched this video about people who believe that the universe is like, well, like the Earth is. One of the guys who believes
What demonstrations are there?
has a PhD in astrophysics, and I don't think it's charisma, even though like I don't believe in what he believes.
Yeah, but was he old? Was he just about climbing the ladder of his career?
No, he looked like maybe 30s, 40s.
Like I say, I mean, his career is probably when you go up that ladder, you don't want to, I'm a first line manager.
Film this as it goes.
I'm not going to mention a word that yeah, it's just not going to happen.
If you really want this to take off, then somebody has to.
Well, like I say,
and take that.
The numbers have gone from like, you know what I mean, 5 years ago, nobody knew anything about fire. Yeah, I've heard about fire before.
But it does. This is something that you can observe for yourself. You can test it.
Not really, like
So don't believe the guy, the first guy here. Is it not really something that's considering that? You know, check that out. The guy's obviously a lunatic. Can you check it out? It's worth it. I might be just telling you something that you may just know something that you haven't heard of, you haven't researched properly. Because that's like, we're not all born flat earthers. You know, like I was a guy believer up until about 3 years ago. You know, we're not just all flat earthers. We've kind of done a lot of research that is trying to prove the globe. We wanted to debunk this. This is all rubbish. So we tried to debunk it.
What are you getting out of debunking it?
Nothing other than my truth that I'm researching.
Why is it important to you that you debunk that the Earth is round, that the Earth is flat?
Because for me, it was seasons. It always pissed me off because when I was growing up, I never understood seasons.
I understand seasons.
I know what they tell me, but that makes no sense.
It does make sense. Does it make sense? Yes, it does.
So between 91 million miles away and 93 million miles away, okay, that's what the sun is, you know, like on its elliptical orbit, okay? And yet, so when it's closer to us, that's our summer. Sorry, that's our winter. When it's closer to us, that's our winter. When it's further away, 93 million miles, that's our summer. It's the opposite.
Where did you hear that?
Well, then that's your science. That's your model.
That's not what I learned in school.
No, I think you need to research it again because that's your model. That's what you're meant to be believing. I don't believe in that.
Right, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but from what I learned in school is that the Earth spins on its axis, and it also tilts upwards and downwards as well.
Okay, so it has this little wobble, or what's it like?
No, yeah, it moves like this basically. That's how you get. That's how you get summers. That's how you get summers.
Without looking at photographs of Earth or anything like
It's snow, it's kind of winter here. It makes sense. Look at this here. Look at this here. This is where our summer works. It makes so much more sense. Okay? So the sun is on the equator, goes round, okay? And as it gets closer to us, Tropic of Cancer, okay, we get our we can observe this, our 24-hour sun in Norway. We can see the 24-hour sun, okay? That's our summer, okay? But as it starts going out and starts going in the Tropic of Capricorn and starts going further, that becomes our winter, okay, and it becomes Australia's summer, okay, as it's going back. Then the thing is, there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. There's no footage of it. There's thousands of video clips of the 24-hour sun in the summer, and yet not the opposite way around.
So Antarctica doesn't exist?
Well, no, it does. Antarctica is in every direction. It's just south. There's no such thing as south. We only have north, okay? But in every direction is what we assume the south is. Okay?
And the Earth is covered by ice, is it?
Okay, so you know the way a shoreline works? You've got, because water has to be contained, so a shoreline, there's beaches, there's cliffs, so water has to be contained. That's all what's around us, water has to be contained. We don't know what's out further because we're not allowed to go there. There's an Antarctic treaty set up in 1958, 52 countries signed it, prevents us from going there.
So
I'm not allowed to do an expedition.
I just don't understand. Using Mars as an example, you don't believe anything's ever landed on.
Yeah, silly.
And what would happen if something was to land on Mars?
How can you prove that for yourself?
No, I'm saying, but what would happen if something landed on Mars, a rover? What would happen if it landed on Mars? What would happen?
There's no space.
There's no
When
space.
you say, I don't know what answer you want from me on that.
Do you believe that Mars is round? It's a planet. Do you believe
It
that?
could be. I don't know. I've no evidence.
You can see it though, can't you?
Well, I
telescope.
see a blob in the sky, and it kind of appears to be spherical. It could be. It could be. I don't know. I see circles.
Is the moon round?
Oh, that looks like a sphere.
It's a sphere.
Let's get sphere and circle. Now, when I look in a telescope or my camera or anything like that, we see circles, don't we? We don't see. We can't look round. We can't
Nobody's
see
ever gone to the
3D.
back of the moon.
So we see circles. Okay, so I'm happy because with the shading of the moon, to me it appears a sphere.
And so does the moon. Not the moon. The Mars, sorry, Mars.
But just because all of them are spheres